Chapter 4028. While Han Yueyao was crying, the Gao family was worried as well. Qin Chu left in a hurry and asked Gao Ran to pick up the two kids from South Hill Manor. He even said that if he and Huomian didn't make it back, he would kill them. He hoped that Lingling and Gao Ran could take care of them. Of course, the two kids didn't know anything and left in Gao Ran's car. The Gao family's house was big, and the three kids played well in Buyuan's room. Zhu Lingling was cooking delicious food for the kids in the kitchen. Gao Ran sneaked into the kitchen and told Zhu Lingling what Qin Chu had said. Angry, Zhu Lingling pointed at Gao Ran with a spatula and asked, "Did Qin Chu really say that?" "Yeah. That bastard. They're his kids. If he doesn't take care of them, who will? I can't imagine how the two kids will live without their parents," Qin Chu said. Let's not be so pessimistic." Gao Ran put his arm around Zhu Lingling's shoulder. "If my ass. I can't do that. Anyway, nothing can happen to Mian. Nothing can happen to anyone." Zhu Lingling's voice was loud when she was agitated. "Hush. Honey, keep your voice down. Don't let the kids hear you. Did he say when he'll come back?" "No. Didn't you say you'd ask the local police for help? Did you do that?" "Qin Chu told me not to. If we did, we'd alert the enemy. You're useless. Why didn't you go with him? Why didn't you come back?" Zhu Lingling hit her husband in anger. In her heart, Gao Ran was very powerful and capable. He would definitely come in handy at a critical moment. "Qin Chu won't let me go. He has an invincible sister-in-law." Gao Ran didn't know whether to laugh or cry. All right. Hurry up and get out. You're an eyesore here." As a housewife, Zhu Lingling naturally didn't understand these things. She could only silently pray that the couple was fine as she cooked. Zhu Lingling had always felt that Huomin's life was full of disasters. Therefore, she was not envious of Huomin's wealthy life, because she knew how difficult it was for Huomin to achieve what he had today. Half an hour later, the Gao family started eating. Zhu Lingling had prepared everything with great care. She had made more than 10 dishes. It was a combination of meat and vegetables. And in order to match the children's tastes, the stir-fried meat was sliced very thin. Moreover, it looked, smelled, and tasted good. "Wow, it smells so good. I can smell it from afar. Auntie Lingling's cooking is amazing." Before they even started eating, Little Bean began to flatter him. "Your mother-in-law will like your hypocrisy." Pudding laughed at her. "Go away. If you don't want to eat, you can leave." "Why should I leave? Auntie Lingling invited me here, not just you," Pudding retorted. "Shouldn't you go to Auntie Xiaowei's place to eat?" Hee. Little Bean snickered. "You two don't bicker. Go wash your hands and come back for dinner." Zhu Lingling had a deep affection for these two children. Although she couldn't treat them as her own, they were no different from her own Buyuan. In short, they were very close. Zhu Lingling, Gao Ran, and the three children ate delicious food. After dinner, Little Bean and Buyuan went to the living room to play building blocks. Pudding had been watching a variety show on her tablet. But when Zhu Lingling went to the kitchen to wash the dishes, she went to the balcony. Pudding went to the balcony, where Gao Ran was talking on the phone. He asked someone to contact the Yunnan police to see if he could find some helpers for Qin Chu and the others. Uncle Gao Ran. Pudding's sudden appearance startled Gao Ran. Chapter 4029. Seeing this, Gao Ran hurriedly said, "Call me if you have any news. That's all." After hanging up, Gao Ran smiled guiltily. "Pudding, why are you here?" "Ah, I'm full and have nothing to do. I want to talk to you, uncle." "Sure. Come sit." Gao Ran waved his hand. Their balcony was very big. When Huomin was a guest, he helped Zhu Lingling design it. It was very three-dimensional and had a rural style. There were 2 rattan chairs and a round coffee table in the middle. There were shelves on both sides. On the shelves were rows of potted plants. When there were a lot of green plants, it made people feel like they were in nature. Gao Ran sat on the chair on the left. Pudding walked to the right and sat across from Gao Ran. "Do you want to eat some fruit? I'll go wash some for you." "Uncle Gao Ran, it's okay. I'm full." "Okay. Uncle Gao Ran, is the bureau still busy?" "The bureau has always been like this. Big and small cases keep coming up. It's a mess. That's why it's better for a man to focus on his own career. Your daddy has it easier than me." Gao Ran smiled and started chatting with Pudding about their daily lives. Pudding tilted her head and leaned against the rattan chair. My daddy doesn't have it easy. He's introverted and has a lot on his mind. He keeps everything in his heart and doesn't want to say it. He's under a lot of pressure. So you're like your daddy, right? Gao Ran asked with a smile. That's what everyone says. But I don't think I'm as good as my daddy. My daddy can do anything for mommy, but I don't think I can. I'm selfish. I'm only willing to do things for my family. You're still young. When you grow up, you'll understand some things. Gao Ran felt that Pudding's topic was a bit heavy, so he didn't want to talk too much. After all, she was still a child. Uncle Gao Ran, what kind of person do you think I am? You? Yes, objectively evaluate me. Haha, that's not a good idea, is it? It's okay. I can accept it. I'm not that fragile, Pudding said seriously. Gao Ran was stumped. He thought for a long time and said slowly, Pudding is very smart, witty and calm. Her personality is more like her father's. She's arrogant and cold, but she has her mother's calmness. She's really a genius baby. Uncle Gao Ran, do you think I'm trustworthy? Of course, Pudding is very loyal and kind. She remembered that Gao Buyuan and Zhu Lingling had been set up in the hotel. At the critical moment, it was Pudding who told Buyuan to activate the smoke alarm in the hotel. He had saved Zhu Lingling's life. This level of resourcefulness was not something that an ordinary child could have. Perhaps some adults did not have such brains, so Gao Ran appreciated this child very much. Since Uncle Gao Ran thinks so highly of me, then, can you tell me where my daddy and mommy went? After a long time, Pudding finally got to the point. Hearing this, Gao Ran was shocked. Pudding, I'll tell you. Uncle Gao Ran, don't say perfunctory words. I can't believe it. Please tell me the truth. Otherwise, I'll make wild guesses and feel uneasy. I think as their daughter, I have the right to know my parents' current situation. When Pudding calmed down, she looked very much like Huamin. Her expression was like that of a lawyer making a statement in court. The sharpness of her eyes made Gao Ran, an adult, feel guilty. He had wanted to say a few perfunctory words, but now it seemed that he couldn't fool her. Chapter 40-30. Just like that, a 3-year-old child forced the director of the Municipal Public Security Bureau to be depressed. Gao Ran didn't answer Pudding immediately. Instead, he took out a cigarette and a lighter. Pudding, do you mind if I smoke? Pudding shook her head expressionlessly. But from Uncle Gao Ran's heavy body language, she knew her parents were in a bad situation. Otherwise, Uncle Gao Ran of the Municipal Public Security Bureau wouldn't look so depressed. In the living room, Little Bean seemed to have sensed something. She glanced at the balcony and asked Gao Buyuan, why is my sister on the balcony? What's she talking to Uncle Gao Ran about? They're probably talking about stocks. Pudding likes stocks the most, right? My dad occasionally invests in some stocks. Gao Buyuan's thoughts were simpler. Really? But my sister's expression doesn't look right. Little Bean was worried. Pudding is the smartest. She'll be fine. Don't worry. Maybe my dad doesn't have enough money and wants to borrow money from Pudding. Ha ha ha. Buyuan was a cheerful person, so his thoughts were positive and optimistic. Influenced by his personality, Little Bean was also carefree. She didn't think much of it and continued playing with the toys with Gao Buyuan. On the balcony, Gao Ran briefly told Pudding what had happened while smoking. It was divided into 3 points, simple and clear. First, Suyu was kidnapped. Second, the kidnapper asked Huamin to rescue him. Third, Qin Shu and Lu Yan went to rescue Huamin and Suyu. In the beginning, Pudding was worried. After all, the people she loved most had gone on an adventure. Finally, when the little thing heard that Lu Yan was here, it smiled mysteriously. Did my auntie go with my dad? Pudding asked again. Yes. Your auntie is very rich. She brought her own private jet, Gao Ran said. That's good. If auntie goes, it'll be fine. Let's wait for them to come back safely and have hot pot together to celebrate. Pudding smiled. Then, she stood up and said something to Gao Ran seriously. Thank you, Uncle Gao Ran, for telling me the truth. Then she turned and ran away. This kid is so scary. I almost couldn't stop her. Gao Ran scratched his head in frustration. GK headquarters, before Qin Shu left, He said something to Jixin and Bella. With Assistant Yang here, the company would be fine. After the morning meeting, Bella quietly pulled Jixin aside. Jixin, come. I have something to tell you. Bella waved her hand and called Jixin to a secluded corridor alone. Honey, what? Why are you being so mysterious? Jixin was very obedient to Bella. She was the best husband in China. Jixin's family's family recently. What are you referring to? Company? No, it's our family. Family? No. Everything's fine. Jixin was kind but simple-minded. After all, Huamin had protected him so well that he hadn't seen any dark forces. Ever since Jingda came home, Jixin had been in a good mood. He could eat a big bowl of rice every day. When he was free, he often took Jingda shopping and bought him expensive clothes, shoes, and a new cell phone. Jixin cherished his father, whom he had lost and then regained. When you went out with him, did he say anything strange to you? Bella asked tentatively. Chapter 40-31. No. Why do you ask? What's wrong with Dad? Oh, it's not that. It's not that peaceful in our community. I'm worried that Dad and Mom are not safe at home. When I was jogging this morning, I heard from the security guards that a lot of dogs and cats have gone missing. Bella was afraid that Jixin would be suspicious, so she changed the topic to the pets. Oh, isn't that normal? All the dogs in our community are famous, and the cats are expensive. It's normal that thieves want them. But no matter how good the thief is, he can't steal so many dogs. Also, he disappeared in a strange way. Even the surveillance cameras can't capture him. Bella felt that something was wrong and wanted to analyze it with Jixin. Unfortunately, Jixin thought it was normal and didn't talk about it with his wife. Thieves are very good. Of course, they would pay attention to the surveillance cameras. Maybe the security guards stole the dogs themselves. Luckily, we don't have dogs. Jixin's words reminded Bella of something. Bella had an idea. She walked quickly to her office, searched online for a shop, and called a pet shop. Send me one of the smartest dogs in your shop. Yes, send it to my unit. After work, Bella and Jixin drove home with a golden retriever puppy. As soon as the dog entered the house, he barked fiercely at Jingda. Young Meirong was so scared that she hid in the corner. Hey, what's wrong with you two? Where did you get such a big dog? Mom, I bought him. Isn't he cute? I named him Hachi. Bella squatted down and stroked the golden retriever's head. Jixin smiled dotingly. Mom, my wife has been obsessed with pets recently. We watched a movie called Hachiko. The dog in the movie was an Akita and was very loyal to its owner. Bella was so touched that she wanted to buy a dog for a long time. Our house is so lively now. I don't object to having a dog, but you have to be good. When you have a baby, you can't have a dog. Or you can give it to me. You can move out. Mom, we won't move out. We'll freeload here for the rest of our lives. Jixin put his arm around his mother's shoulder shamelessly. Then he saw that Uncle Jing's expression didn't look too good. Dad, look, isn't it handsome? It's a cute little male dog. Golden retrievers are very smart. Jixin pointed at the little golden retriever and smiled. Jingda took 2 steps back guiltily. It's pretty good. I'm glad you like it. Bella didn't miss the subtle change in Jingda. She didn't know if the little golden retriever was new or not. After he entered the room, he didn't stop yelling. He was especially fierce when he was yelling at Jingda. Jingda seemed to know what was going on, so he tried his best to stay away from the puppy. My dad doesn't seem to like dogs that much. Seeing Jingda enter the study, Bella asked her mother-in-law in a low voice. Young Meirong said with a smile as she knitted the sweater. He used to like dogs very much. At that time, someone gave him a big stupid dog, and he treated it like a treasure. Later it was stolen by a dog dealer. He was sad for a long time. Maybe because of this incident he stopped raising dogs. Your father actually doesn't talk much, and is introverted. But he is honest and kind to everyone. Yeah, he is. Bella smiled perfunctorily. She almost wanted to tell her mother-in-law that this seemingly honest man wasn't her ex-husband. After dinner, Bella went out for a walk in her cotton jacket when she heard a shocking piece of news in the neighborhood. Many neighbors gathered around and were talking about it. Bella went up and asked, "What's wrong? Neighbors, what happened?" "The missing cats and dogs were found," a woman said. Where? Bella's heart skipped a beat. Chapter 40:32. They were taken away by the security guards. Taken away? What do you mean? Bella was puzzled. Oh, I don't want to talk about it. It's too tragic. I feel like there's a psycho living in our community. Those dogs and cats were all tortured to death. It's very tragic. A murder happened in the community today. Someone called the police, and the police dogs found the bodies. They were buried under a big tree near the fountain in the community. Oh my God, it's so horrible and bloody. I heard that those small animals were drained of their blood. Drained of their blood? Bella was horrified just by hearing about it. Yeah. I don't know who did it. I don't know how psycho he is. It's so scary. I'd better stay at my mother-in-law's house for a few days and not go back to Sky Blessing Court. I heard that the woman who died in the 5th building was also drained of her blood. Oh, I don't want to talk about it. I have goosebumps. The gossipy woman turned and left after revealing the information. Then, everyone slowly dispersed. A murder happened in the community all of a sudden. How did these dogs and cats get tortured to death? Bella had a feeling that it wasn't that simple. Thinking of what Huomin and Qin Chu had told her, she was even more worried. Could it be that it really had something to do with that person? Bella returned home worriedly. Jixin was upstairs playing games. Yang Meirong and Jingda were watching TV on the sofa. Most of the time, Jingda's expression was a bit stiff. If you didn't talk to him, he would never talk to you. He was a very strange person. Bella had never seen Jingda before, so she didn't know what he was like before. But the current him gave her a very strange feeling. When Bella came back, she saw the golden retriever curled up in a corner obediently with a bowl in front of it. There were some leftovers in the bowl. Mom, it eats dog food. You don't have to feed it. Bella picked up Hachi with a smile. Holding Hachi, Bella was about to go upstairs, but an idea came to her and she changed her mind. She sat down on the sofa with Hachi, very close to Jingda. Instantly Hachi pounced. Subconsciously, Jingda slapped the dog hard, and it fell to the ground. He used a lot of strength, so the little golden retriever cried out from the fall. Ouch, what's going on? Why is this little guy biting people? Yang Meirong was afraid that Jingda would be bitten. He hurried over to check on the wound. Jingda rudely pushed Yang Meirong away. I don't like dogs. Send them away tomorrow. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Bella hurriedly carried little Mina, who was lying on the ground in pain. Her heart turned cold. He was indeed afraid of dogs. But why would a man be so afraid of dogs? Didn't the old people always say that as long as there was something dirty, they would be afraid of dogs? This was a little golden retriever. It wasn't even afraid of children. It was the first time that Jingda had lost his temper since he came back. It was very scary. Yang Meirong was also shocked. Seeing Jingda slam the door and leave with a cold face, Yang Meirong still has some scruples about her daughter-in-law. Bella, don't be angry. Your dad isn't mad at you. He just came back and isn't used to life here yet. Mom, I'm fine. Maybe I was too careless. I didn't know that Dad hated dogs so much. Bella forced a smile and went upstairs with little Mina in her arms. Jixin didn't know what happened downstairs and was still playing computer games peacefully. Jixin stopped playing. I have something important to tell you. Okay, go ahead. Jixin didn't stop his game. Someone died in the community. I suspect Dad has something to do with it, Bella said directly. Only then did Jixin turn his head to look at Bella in shock. Chapter 40:33. Honey, what are you talking about? Did I hear you right? My dad killed people? I didn't say he killed people, but I think it has something to do with him, including the missing cats and dogs that were tortured and killed. Hearing this, Jixin realized the seriousness of the problem. Turning off the computer, Jixin turned around and held Bella's hand with both hands. He put Hachi on the side. It seemed to be badly hurt and kept whimpering in a low voice, making Jixin's heart ache. Bella told Jixin what she had seen and heard tonight. Jixin was very partial to his father, especially his father who had found his lost dog. Honey, we can't be so unreasonable. You can't suspect Dad just because of this. You heard what Mom said. He doesn't like dogs because he lost his dog in the past and was sad. Just now, he hit Hachi because Hachi wanted to bite him. You can't suspect him of having a motive to torture and kill animals just because of this. This is a serious crime. Bella calmed herself down and explained patiently, but Dad was acting strange. Mom and I heard strange noises that night. He said it was a bird, but I didn't believe him. I didn't see a bird the next day. Didn't Dad set it free? Jishin emphasized. Do you believe everything he says? He's my dad. What if he's not your dad? Bella pressed. What are you talking about? Who else could he be if he's not my dad? Jishin chuckled. Then he hugged Bella and said coquettishly, Wife, don't be angry. My dad must have thought that little 8 was going to bite him. So he got agitated. He didn't do it on purpose. If you feel uncomfortable, you can hit me. Can we not talk about the murder case? Jishin thought Bella was upset about Jingda's scolding and wanted to pick a fight with him. Bella didn't know what to say. Forget it. I'm not angry because of that. Don't think too much. Then don't think too much. Do you hear me? Okay. I won't think too much. Bella decided not to say more. If Jishin couldn't help but tell Jingda, it would alert the enemy. Sister Huamin and brother Qin Chu had entrusted such an important task to her. She didn't tell Jishin, because Jishin was sometimes too naive. Because of emotional issues, she trusted Jingda too much, just like Yang Meirong. Bella sighed slightly, but she couldn't fall asleep. What happened in the community was so horrible. If it had something to do with Jingda, then who on earth was Jingda? Was he really just a pervert? Would he hurt her mother and Jishin? Or did he have other motives? On the other hand, Professor Lu left the United States alone. He wore a human skin mask and secretly went to Iceland. On the way, he had called Lu Yen to stop her and Qin Chu from saving people, because he felt that there was a huge conspiracy behind this matter. But Lu Yen was so eager to save her sister that she didn't listen to him and hung up. This made the professor even more anxious. He quickened his pace towards Iceland. Back then, Dr. Linya had been shot in the head during a chase and was in a vegetative state. The professor could not bear to let his wife die of brain death, so he directly used high-tech freezing. He only hoped that one day, he would be able to find a way to revive her. So in the past few years, he had been secretly studying the technology to revive Linya. Unfortunately, his experiments failed again and again. If Qin Chu hadn't said that he saw the dead Jingda come back to life, Professor Lu wouldn't have thought of Linya. But now, wearing a thick down jacket, Professor Lu walked into the depths of the ice cave. Sure enough, the ice coffin was empty. Linya was gone. But it was said that she was still there when Lu Yen came last time. Chapter 40-34. There was only such a short period of time. Did Linya really come back to life? That was impossible. The professor had confirmed that Linya's brain had entered a dormant state. Without strong stimulation from the outside world, she couldn't wake up. Even a medical genius like him had to work hard for many years, but there were no results. So how on earth did Linya wake up? Or, who was the one behind this shocking conspiracy to kidnap Linya's vegetative body? Instantly, the professor was confused. On the phone, he heard from Qin Chu that Jingda had come back to life. The first thing that came to his mind was the experiment he and Linya had done on the resurrection of the dead. They did the experiment with hundreds of groups of white mice, but the experiment didn't succeed. But it was the experiment they were most interested in. Except for him and Linya, no one else knew the content of the experiment. So who the hell was this Jingda in China? It was impossible to say that he was resurrected from the dead. After all, the real Jingda's body had rotted for many years. There was no way to restore it to this extent. Could it be Professor Lu's pupils constricted? And he didn't dare to think further. From Jingda's resurrection to Linya's disappearance to Huamin's capture and Lu Yen and Qin Chu's rescue, all of this was like a huge net that covered the sky, causing people to tremble in fear. With complicated feelings, the professor walked out of the ice, turned on the communication device on his wrist, and dialed Lu Yan's number again. Beep! The signal from Lu Yan's phone wasn't optimistic. Lu Yan's watch could be charged with solar energy and never lost power or shut down automatically. Lu Yan's line wouldn't be busy because she and her father had a separate line. It was different from other people's lines. which was the professor's proudest design. But now the beeping sound made him feel confused. There was only one possibility. Lu Yan's communication device was completely blocked. For someone to be able to block this communication device, it could be seen how powerful the technology behind it was. It made sense that he didn't want Lu Yan and Qin Chu to rescue Jingda. It would be a lie if he said he didn't care about Mian. She was his daughter, how could he not care about her? Although Mian hadn't been by his side as long as Yen, his fatherly love was the same. He just didn't want the two children to fall into someone else's trap. But now, distant water could not quench a present thirst. Even if he was anxious, he was powerless. The professor then dialed a number for Xiao Fei. At this time, Xiao Fei was leading people in the Golden Triangle to inquire about Xiao Nan. In order to avoid being hunted down, Xiao Nan was like a coward, hiding very well. Xiao Fei was impatient and didn't want to waste any more time. He wanted to meet Lu Yan in China. He didn't know where Lu Yan went because the last time he talked to her, she was on a plane back to China. He had always thought that his little Yan was in Sea City. Fei. Professor Lu spoke to Xiao Fei as if he was his own child. Uncle Lu. Xiao Fei was shocked. After all, Professor Lu rarely called Lu Yan, let alone him. "Anne, are you still in the Golden Triangle?" "I was just about to leave." "Yes. Have you contacted Yan?" "Yes." "Didn't she go back to Sea City?" "It seems something happened to Sister Mian," Xiao Fei explained calmly. "It seems you don't know that she went to Yunnan." Professor Lu sighed slightly. "Yan is in Yunnan?" Xiao Fei was surprised. After all, Yunnan was close to the Golden Triangle, but Lu Yan didn't mention it. Chapter 40-35. I lost contact with Yan, but she's in danger. Uncle Lu, what's going on? Hearing that Lu Yan was in danger, Xiao Fei tensed up. Long story short, Chu and Yan went to Yunnan to rescue Mian. But I think it's a trap. Someone lured them there. Before they got off the plane, I talked to Yan, but she didn't listen to me. I think she's already there. I'm still in Iceland and can't go there in time. You're in the Golden Triangle. I hope you can take more people with you. Okay. I'll go right away. Xiao Fei couldn't wait. Fei, listen to me. Once you find them, come out safely. Don't fight them. If it's really her, you're no match for her. Only Professor Lu himself knew how powerful she was. In front of Linya, Lu Yan, Xiao Fei, Qin Chu, and the others were just a group of kindergarten graduates. I got it, Uncle Lu. I'll go right away. I'll send the location to your cell phone. Come back quickly. Be careful. Okay. Then, the professor used the code he had decoded for Qin Chu to decode the location, where Zhao Qingya called Huamin. Then he sent the location to Xiao Fei's cell phone. Xiao Fei took a dozen people to the primitive jungle in Yunnan in a private plane. At this moment, Huamin was clamoring in the cabin to see the mastermind. Jack thought Layla wouldn't go to see Huamin. After all, she was always arrogant and looked down on everyone. But to his surprise, Layla agreed. Bring her over here, Layla said to Jack. Jack was slightly surprised. Do you really want to see her? Of course. Do you think I don't dare to see her? Layla smiled. No. I mean, you don't need to see her. We have the same face and the same body. I'm quite curious to see her. Will it be as magical as looking into a mirror? But what I'm looking forward to more now is her reaction when she sees me. With Layla's order, Jack turned around and went out. He brought his men to the small wooden house where Huamin was locked up. The moment the door opened, Huamin didn't seem surprised to see Jack. Hello, my little sister, Jack greeted her warmly. Don't call me little sister Huasiqian. Don't imitate Huasiqian's tone. You disgust me, Jack. Haha, very good. You actually recognized me at a glance. Jack laughed wantonly. Huamin looked at the man in front of him calmly. This familiar face made him have mixed feelings. Because his eyes have always been as gentle as water, unlike the way you look at your prey. Not bad. You are indeed the genius, Huamin. You can even see such minute details. Let's go. Take me to the master behind you. Huamin stood up clumsily with one hand supporting his back. With his big belly, it was extremely inconvenient for him to walk. Jack's eyes fell on Huamin's belly. He sized it up but didn't say anything. Before leaving, Huamin looked back and glanced at Suyu worriedly. Suyu was drugged, and probably wouldn't wake up unless he used the antidote. But this was good. It was better for him to sleep quietly than to be tortured half to death. Just like this, Huamin followed Jack to Layla's room. Chapter 40-36. On the way, she met Zhao Qingyao with a smug smile. Bitch, you're dead for sure this time. Young master will make you die a horrible death. Zhao Qingyao felt that the perverted young master meeting Huamin was definitely the day of Huamin's death. It's not certain who will compete first. Don't be so smug. Huamin glanced at Zhao Qingyao casually and smiled slightly. This woman was so different from the rest. She could still smile in this kind of situation. Zhao Qingyao hated Huamin's expression. It was just like those women. They all hated Huamin's calm expression. Everyone seemed to want to see Huamin panic and fear on her face, or even kneel and beg for mercy. But she didn't, because she had never been such a cowardly person who was afraid of death. She was about to give birth, but she risked her life to save Suyu. At that moment, she had already thrown caution to the wind. What could a person who wasn't even afraid of death be afraid of? Perhaps it was because of the rain, but the road was a little slippery. Huamin's body was heavy, and she couldn't walk steadily. Suddenly she slipped. She fell into the ditch beside her. She thought that she was going to fall, but at the critical moment, someone supported her. Huamin thought that it was one of those small fries, and was about to thank him. She saw Jack with Huasiqian's annoying face. You're so stupid. You can even fall while walking. You want to save others? Idiot. Jack had never liked Huamin, so even though he supported her, he still scolded her. However, Huamin was grateful, so she didn't retort. But the moment her hand touched Jack's hand, the warmth from his palm reminded her of Huasiqian, who had taken care of her, imprisoned her, and loved her obsessively on the deserted island. With a lot on her mind, Huamin lowered her head and continued to walk carefully. Finally, they arrived at Layla's room. You can all leave. Jack came back to his senses and looked at his subordinates behind him. Yes, go in. She's waiting for you inside, Jack said. Okay. Huamin nodded. Huamin, are you really not afraid of death? If you die, your children, your husband, everything you have. Jack didn't finish his sentence, but his meaning was obvious. Everyone will die one day. Rather than be afraid, it's better to throw caution to the wind and calmly accept the arrangements of the heavens, everything. After saying that, Huamin looked at Jack. Thank you. With that said, Huamin opened Layla's door, opened Layla's Layla. Huamin's smile was very infectious. Jack froze on the spot for 3 seconds before leaving. Then he turned to leave. He seemed to understand more and more what kind of person Huamian was. This bamboo building was the largest in the entire area. It was 3 stories tall. The interior was also luxuriously decorated. After Huamin entered, she didn't see anyone. She subconsciously walked to the second floor. The second floor was similar to the first floor. It was decorated like a living room and had an ancient style. Finally, she walked up to the third floor clumsily. On the big bed on the third floor, a woman with a graceful figure was lying there with her head propped up. Her back was facing her. She was only wearing a long men's shirt, the kind that was envious and seductive. Her long black hair wasn't too long and only fell to her shoulders. Huamin only took one look and felt that this figure looked familiar. However, she couldn't remember where she had seen it before. We finally meet, Mian. As soon as she spoke, Huamin was shocked. How could this be her own voice? Was she hallucinating? Chapter 40-37. Who are you? Huamin's voice trembled. Do you think I'm familiar? Don't try to be mysterious. Who are you? Huamian felt like she couldn't hold it in any longer, as if she was being driven crazy. Only then did the woman slowly turn around. She was wearing a golden mask. It was in the shape of an angel's wings. It was stunning. But her eyes, Huamian still felt that it was very familiar. TSK, look at you. Look at how miserable you've gotten yourself. How can you think of yourself as a tool to give birth? This is your third baby, right? The woman approached Huamin step by step and looked at her belly. Huamin instinctively reached out to protect her belly. Do you think I'm familiar? Layla reached out and slid her hand across Huamin's face. Huamin took 2 steps back, hating her physical touch. Actually, Huamin, I've known about your existence for many years. Yes, I've always been familiar with you. Who are you? The more Huamin listened, the more confused she became. Why would a woman who looked so young say that she had known about her for many years? Layla didn't answer her. Instead, she reached out and slowly took off her mask. When her face was completely revealed, Huamin was shocked. Yes, she was really shocked. It was an identical face to hers. And based on her intuition, it was definitely not a human skin mask, nor was it plastic surgery. Plastic surgery would leave unnatural marks, but this face had none at all. It was even more natural than her own face. Because Huamin was pregnant, pregnancy symptoms would appear. Her body would become bloated, so her face wouldn't be as beautiful and rosy. But the woman in front of her was different. She was like herself at her peak, Huamin in her best state. You. Huamin was so shocked that she couldn't speak. Do you think we're identical? Huamin was so shocked that he was speechless. How could this be? That's impossible. Even twins can't be this weird. Huamin muttered to herself. She could not accept this fact so quickly. Twins? Don't be ridiculous. With your IQ, how can you be my twin? I despise you mortals who think you're smart. It's disgusting. There's nothing about you that interests me. Your job, your family, your daughters, your friends. Everything seems so stupid. But I like your husband. Yes, Huamin, I'm very interested in your husband. You've seen my husband. Huamin finally got the point. He must have seen Qin Shu. Otherwise, why would he say that? I've seen more than that. Anyway, other than Qin Shu, everything about you is worthless. No matter who you are, if you want to hit on my husband, I advise you not to. He won't like you. Even if you look exactly like me, he'll be able to tell. He doesn't like imitations or substitutes. Huamin mocked Layla calmly. That's hard to say. If I'm good enough, he won't be able to tell if I'm you or not. Tell me, if you always admit that I'm the wrong person and sleep with me, or even do something intimate with me, will you feel bad? Is the image of a good man that you're so proud of crumbling? So you lured me all the way here just to seduce my husband? Huamin felt that this woman's intentions were childish. She couldn't have set up such a big trap just to get Qin Shu, right? Chapter 4038. You're thinking too much. Layla smiled mysteriously. Then what's your conspiracy? Huamin had an inexplicable uneasiness in his heart. He had a feeling that something bad was about to happen. This feeling had happened once a long time ago. It was when Qin Shu's plane exploded on his way to the United States. That time, she and Qin Shu were separated for 4 years. Therefore, she was especially afraid of this feeling of loss. You'll find out. There's no rush. Layla turned around and lazily lay on the big bed. I heard Lu Yin is very strong. For some reason, Huamin was shocked when he mentioned Lu Yin. She didn't answer because she was afraid that the more she said, the more danger her family and loved ones would be in. The first time I met you, it was just as I thought. No, it should be said that you're even more disappointing than I thought. Such a stupid woman is regarded as a genius by those people. This might be the funniest joke of the century, so I'm still skeptical of the rumors about Lu Yin, the god of war Lu Yin, the explosive genius Lu Yin. Yin isn't as gentle as me. You'd better not provoke her. Huamin seemed to be warning her. Layla only smiled and said, the more you say that, the more I look forward to meeting her. By the way, did you know? Over the years, those who have seen my true appearance only have 2 endings. The first is to become my obedient dog. The second is to become a person whose corpse has already rotted away. Which one do you think you want to be? I won't do either. Huamin refused flatly. TSK. Fine, it doesn't matter anyway. You won't have the chance to tell this secret to anyone else. She smiled. Then, a black pistol appeared in his hand out of nowhere. She held the pistol and aimed it at Huamin. If I shoot you, you might end your pain and be free. If you want to do it, hurry up. Don't delay. I hate people like you. Huamin was fearless. At this point, many things were already out of her control. Therefore, the moment Layla pointed the gun at her, she had already made up her mind. Whether she lived or died was up to fate. Before Layla could shoot, Huamin suddenly said, "But if you kill me, you won't have the antidote anymore." "Oh, did you poison me?" Upon hearing Huamin's words, Layla immediately reacted. "Yes, I've been particularly obsessed with making drugs recently, and I guarantee that it's a type that has never been seen on the market before." Huamin had always been very proud of his test subject. Layla was so close to her just now, so she took the opportunity to poison her. Besides, he had the antidote, so he would be fine. But shouldn't Layla be showing signs of being poisoned now? For example, his palms started to itch. "This trick of yours is something I learned many years ago. Forget about your poison. I'm afraid even Professor Lu's poison won't work on me, because I'm immune to poison." Layla smiled and got up. As expected, nothing happened at all. "Impossible, I don't believe it." Layla's safety was a huge blow to Huamin. She thought that Layla was playing a psychological tactic to get the antidote. However, she looked fine. Her poison should have invaded her heart within 30 seconds. How could it be? "So our stupid Huamin. Come, it's my turn to play with you." Layla pressed the pistol against Huamin's forehead with a smile in her eyes. Her hand pulled the trigger bit by bit, and the air seemed to have frozen at this moment. "Young madam." At the critical moment, Jack barged in. Chapter 4039. What? My little pet, are you feeling sorry for him? Layla looked at Jack with a sarcastic smile. "No, young madam, it's..." Jack glanced at Huamin and was a bit worried, but he still said, "Qin Chu and Lu Yin are here." "Whoa, so fast. Not bad." Layla put down the pistol, as if something more interesting was about to happen. She wasn't trying to scare Huamin. Or rather, she didn't plan to kill Huamin. She just wanted to see Huamin pee his pants in fear. But how could that happen? She was Huamin. She was the most famous calm sister in her circle of friends. Huamin should have been happy when he heard that Qin Chu and Lu Yin were here. But now, he wasn't happy at all, because he felt that the conspiracy behind this was not so simple. A woman who looked exactly like him. A woman who could turn a thug like Jack into a pet. A woman who could make the sugar daddy behind Zhao Qingya extremely terrified. A woman who had a contemptuous look on her face when she mentioned Lu Yin. Huamin suddenly felt that what if his husband and Yin fell into the trap, and were no match for her? Just now, this woman seemed to be interested in Qin Chu. The more Huamin thought about it, the more flustered he became. "Jack, take her down first. The show is about to start." Layla put on her clothes elegantly. It was Huamin's favorite outfit. She was wearing a beige Disney hoodie, jeans, and white sneakers. Then, she imitated Huamin and tied her hair into a simple ponytail. He swaggered right in front of Huamin. "Oh, I don't know when we'll meet again. So, you have to cherish the opportunity." Layla's tone made Huamin uncomfortable. She gave Huamin a mischievous smile and imitated her voice, tone, and expression. Huamin felt a chill run down his spine. This woman was either crazy, completely crazy, or she would do something even stranger. After Layla left, Jack brought Huamin back to the cabin. On the way, Huamin didn't say a word. When they were about to arrive, shaking off his subordinates, Huamin asked Jack in a low voice, "When you first met her, did you mistake me for her?" Jack was slightly startled at first. Then he replied in a low voice, "Yeah. Is her ultimate goal Qin Chu? To be honest, I don't know." No. It wasn't that Jack didn't want to tell Huamin, but he really didn't know. After all, he was always in a precarious situation when he was by Layla's side. "Jack, I want to see Huasiqian," Huamin suddenly said. "Stop dreaming and don't play tricks. You can't escape. You can't imagine what she's capable of." After saying this, Jack pushed Huamin into the cabin and turned to leave. Huamin took a deep breath and walked back to sit beside Suyu. She carefully took out the antidote from her bag and applied it to Suyu's nostrils. The pungent smell immediately woke Suyu up from his coma. The aphrodisiac in his body was no longer effective. She had to admit that Huamin's self-made medicine was very powerful. However, she didn't understand why it didn't work on that woman just now. She was the one who had poisoned her. Mian. Suyu slowly woke up, but his head was still dizzy. "Suyu, we have to escape." That woman has left for now. Now is the best time, Huamin whispered in Suyu's ear. Chapter 40. Mian, don't worry about me. The two of them are too big of a target to escape. You go first. I'll distract them. You know I won't leave you behind. Faced with Suyu's request, Huamin didn't have the energy to get angry. She just looked at Suyu calmly. She wouldn't leave him alone. Not in the past, not in the future. Listen to me. You're pregnant. Think about the baby. Ahem. Suyu coughed violently. Huamin carefully helped him up. Maybe it was the strong anesthetic just now, but Suyu couldn't muster up any strength. In such a short period of time, Suyu had used the aphrodisiac and anesthetic for half a day. It would be difficult for him to recover his strength. My baby doesn't want mommy to be a coward and abandon him, Uncle Suyu. Huamin smiled. You didn't abandon me. One person dying is better than 2 people, no 3 people dying here. No matter what you say, I won't abandon you. Huamin insisted on not agreeing to Suyu's request. He turned around and poured a glass of water for Suyu. Huamin suddenly remembered what just happened. My husband and Yen came to save us. I saw that woman rush out. And Suyu, I just met your woman. Do you know how strange it is? She looks. Huamin was still in shock when he thought about what just happened. But just as Huamin was about to tell Suyu about it, the door opened. With a bang, the door was pushed open. Zhao Qingya appeared at the door with a black leather whip in her hand. Oh, you two are still in the mood to flirt at a time like this? Zhao Qingya smiled viciously. Huamin and Suyu didn't say anything. They were both on guard against Zhao Qingya. She walked in slowly. She was wearing an orange low-cut dress. It had to be said that Zhao Qingya's taste was getting worse. Perhaps it was because he was stained with that substance, but his face looked much older than his peers. Perhaps Mr. Y's taste was too strong, which seriously affected her sense of beauty. All in all, Zhao Qingya no longer had the same temperament as when she was an imperial star. Her dress was comparable to that of a woman who had lost her footing. Suyu shielded Huamin and stood in front of her, as if he was afraid that Zhao Qingya would hurt Huamin. After all, she was a lunatic. Huamin wasn't afraid at all. Compared to Zhao Qingya, she was more afraid of the woman who looked exactly like her. Zhao Qingya, let's work together, Huamin said slowly. What? Did I hear wrongly? Huamin, you're saying you want to work with me? Ha ha ha. Holding the whip, Zhao Qingya threw her head back and laughed crazily. You didn't hear wrongly. I want to work with you. I'm very interested in what you said. I really want to know how you're going to work with me now that you're prisoners. What do you have to work with me? Zhao Qingya looked at Huamin and Suyu with disdain. Her eyes were filled with hatred. Zhao Qingya, stop pretending. You're just someone's dog now. Everything depends on your master. If he's happy, you might have bones to eat. If he's not happy, you'll be tortured until you wish you were dead. Do you really think you're happy living like this? Zhao Qingya's expression changed slightly after hearing that. She didn't expect Huamin to see through her so clearly. Instead of living like this, why don't you take a gamble and see if you can change your way of life? So the way of life you're talking about is? Zhao Qingya looked at Huamin. Chapter 40-41. You help us escape, and we'll give you a chance to live. After Huamin finished speaking, Zhao Qingya didn't respond. She lowered her head and seemed to be thinking. Huamin continued. Your mistress just left here. Now is the best time. Do you know what she's doing? My husband and sister are here to save me. They must have brought a lot of reinforcements. Your mistress is no match for them. So if you help us escape now, then you can get out of their control. From now on, Suyu and I will let bygones be bygones. We'll give you a lot of money, arrange a new identity for you, and even help you get plastic surgery. You can go to a new place and start a new life. Zhao Qingya, you're not even 30 years old. You haven't even lived half of your life. You don't want to live the rest of your life like this, do you? Huamin caught Zhao Qingya's weakness. Zhao Qingya's face was full of hostility. There were bruises and marks on her neck. Her cheeks were also slightly swollen. It was obvious that she was often abused. She didn't live the life of a pampered canary. Zhao Qingya probably didn't like her current life, but she couldn't escape it. To be honest, Huamin's words tempted her. That was because what he said had touched her heart. She had long had enough of Mr. Y's inhumane treatment of her. She trembled with fear in front of the psychopathic mistress. She didn't know when she would be beheaded if she said the wrong thing. Therefore, Huamin asked her to help them escape. He would give her money, freedom, and a new identity. It was indeed a great temptation for Zhao Qingya. However, that's a good suggestion. Huamin, you really can see through people's weaknesses. I was almost convinced by you. But why should I help you escape? You're my enemies. Without you, I wouldn't be in this situation today. I'm destined to never forgive you. My sister Xia can't die in vain. So, Huamin, even if I live like a dog, even if I live in purgatory, I want the two of you to die with me. Then, Zhao Qingya raised her hand and whipped down. With a smack, the long whip swung over with so much force that it caught them off guard. Suyu reacted quickly. He pushed Huamin away and raised his arm to block the whip. The whip landed on Suyu's right arm, leaving a bloody wound. It was a ghastly sight. Suyu didn't make a sound. Suyu. Huamin was extremely sad. He knew that Zhao Qingya was fickle. He thought that he had a good chance of convincing Zhao Qingya to help them. However, he didn't expect that he underestimated the power of that thing. Zhao Qingya couldn't leave Mr. Y at all, mainly because she couldn't leave him. She had been completely corroded and couldn't be saved. Tsk. Suyu, I have to say that you're a real man. They say that all women are jealous of Huamin. You're so good to her that I'm going crazy. Is she worth it? What have you gotten from liking her all these years? Maybe you haven't even kissed her. You big idiot, haha. Zhao Qingya continued to laugh crazily. Huamin quickly took out his medical kit and bandaged Suyu's wound. But before she could bandage her wound, Zhao Qingya lashed the whip at Huamin's face. Suyu blocked the whip with his back. His back was dyed red with blood. Suyu, you want to be a hero, right? Fine. I'll whip you to death first. Then I'll whip this little bitch to death. You two can die together. I'll be a good person and fulfill your dreams. Ha 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 ha. Zhao Qingya took advantage of the fact that the mistress wasn't around to take revenge crazily. Her actions caught everyone off guard. Chapter 40-42. Zhao Qingya had lost her mind like a mad dog. If this continued, neither Suyu nor Huamin would be able to hold on. While Suyu wasn't paying attention, Huamin pounced over and caught Zhao Qingya's whip with his bare hands. Then, Zhao Qingya felt her wrist go numb. The whip fell to the ground. What did you do to me? Zhao Qingya raised her wrist and found a silver needle as thin as a cow's hair on her right wrist. However, the place where the needle pierced was already turning purple. I poisoned you. Poisoned? Zhao Qingya was so scared that her face turned pale. Don't you know that I'm not only a doctor, but also a top poison maker? Zhao Qingya, don't push it. Do you think you'll kill me and sue you? Let me tell you, you'll die before you kill us. Also, this poison won't take effect immediately. It'll let your body rot bit by bit until you're neither human nor ghost. Only then will you die in pain. Huamin's voice was so sharp that Zhao Qingya's heart sank. Huamin, if that's the case, I'll set fire to you too first. Zhao Qingya went even crazier. After hearing Huamin's words, she didn't know if she was scared or something else. Zhao Qingya, I don't want you to die. You can still choose to help us. I have the antidote. Why should I believe a bitch like you? Zhao Qingya's face turned pale with anger. Because you have no other choice. I'm afraid that after Mr. Y finds out that you're poisoned and can't take care of yourself, he'll order us to carry you deep into the mountains and forests and let you be eaten by wild animals. So let's see if you can save yourself. As I said, as long as you help us escape, Su Yu and I won't hold it against you. This time, Zhao Qingya seemed to be tempted. Humans were indeed afraid of death, and Zhao Qingya was even more so. She looked at the gradually changing color on her wrist. She felt an itchy and painful sensation from the silver needle. She knew that Huamin was not lying. Since she dared to come alone to save Suyu, she must have come prepared. I can help you, but why won't agree? My words don't count. Zhao Qingya hesitated before voicing her concerns. Don't be afraid. Put this in his teacup, and he will fall into a deep sleep, and won't know anything. Of course, you can also add more to prevent future troubles. You should know that if you add too little, it can make a person sleep for a day and a night. If you add too much, he will fall into a deep sleep. It's up to you. Huamin threw a bag of white powder at Zhao Qingya's feet. Your time is limited. I want you to take us out of this forest and to the nearest town. As long as we're safe, I will give you the antidote immediately. Otherwise, 7 hours later, the poison will enter your heart. Even if you kowtow and beg me, I won't be able to save you. So, Zhao Qingya, it's up to you to choose heaven or hell. Huamin was clearly at a disadvantage, but her tone was arrogant and full of confidence. Therefore, Zhao Qingya was indeed a little scared in front of such a powerful aura. She licked her lips and squatted down with trembling hands. She picked up the bag that Huamin gave her, and seemed to have made up her mind. Even if I take care of Why, what about Hua Xiqian? He's the young master's lackey. Zhao Qingya didn't know that Hua Xiqian had another identity as Jack, so she only thought that it was Hua Xiqian. He's already gone with that woman, but we can't be sure that he'll come back soon. So now is the best time. Zhao Qingya, I'll only give you 10 minutes to make your choice. Otherwise, we'll both die here. To prevent Zhao Qingya from changing her mind, Huamin had been using psychological tactics to scare Zhao Qingya. Chapter 40-43. Huamin was confident in dealing with someone as stupid as Zhao Qingya. Sure enough, after being provoked, Zhao Qingya picked up the bag and ran away. So you hadn't recovered yet. Plus, he was whipped twice, so he was a little weak. After Zhao Qingya left, Huamin immediately took out the first aid kit and quickly disinfected Suyu. Suyu gritted his teeth. He didn't complain about the pain, but he felt warmth in his heart as he watched Huamin take care of him and bandage his wounds. Mian, don't worry about me. Shut up. Don't say that kind of bullshit. Huamin's face was stern. When she was really angry, she looked very scary. Pudding and Little Bean were especially afraid of their mother's serious face. Before Suyu could say anything, Huamin deliberately increased the strength of his hand. Ugh. Suyu frowned in pain. Zhao Qingya is afraid of death, so she'll drug Mr. Y for sure. As for how much she'll drug him, that's up to her. She'll probably take us out of here in a bit. Suyu, let's get out of here and go home safely. I believe my husband and Yin won't be in danger even if they can't beat that woman. After we get out of here, call Grandpa Su and ask him to send the army to chase away these psychopaths. Huamian hated that woman to the core, so she babbled on and on like a child. Suyu smiled and reached out his hand, wanting to brush away the loose hair on Huamin's forehead. But in the end, he didn't dare to do it. He didn't dare to cross the line. He couldn't before, and he couldn't now. Okay, I'll listen to you. Our Dr. Hua is the smartest. He'll find a way. Suyu said gently. Just as Huamin expected, Zhao Qingya returned in less than 10 minutes. Mr. Y was an easy target. Most of the time, he was not conscious. He was either smoking or having sex with a few young models. That was all he had for fun. When Zhao Qingya arrived, Mr. Y had just had a big fight and was very weak. Zhao Qingya pretended to pour him a glass of water, then secretly added Huamin's anesthetic. She was still a little selfish. Even though Y had saved her from prison, she had not been living well for the past few years. She thought about the future. If Huamin could really fulfill his promise and help her change her name and start a new life, she might be able to find a good family to marry, have children, and live a normal life. Therefore, Zhao Qingya added the full dosage when she put in the medicine. In such a place, Y did not expect Zhao Qingya to betray him, so he drank the water without hesitation. In less than a minute, he fell asleep and his breathing became weaker. Zhao Qingya held his token, which was the lighter with the totem of the Doomsday Reaper. She returned to the small wooden house again. Miss Zhao, the young master ordered me to take the two people inside away. After saying that, Zhao Qingya took out the lighter, full of confidence. The two subordinates looked at each other and finally gave in. Miss Zhao, where's Mr. Y? He's still sleeping. If you disturb him at this time, you'll have to deal with the consequences. Zhao Qingya deliberately scared these small fries. Yes, we'll listen to Miss Zhao. Do you need help? We can help you. No need. There's someone there to help. Just leave them to me. Then, Zhao Qingya opened the door, glanced at Huamin, and said coldly, "Our master said to move you. Come with me." Huamin was overjoyed, knowing that the plan was a success. He quickly helped Suyu up and walked out. After walking out of the bamboo buildings, Zhao Qingya walked in front without saying a word. How long will it take for us to reach the nearest town? Huamin was actually a little tired. After all, she was a pregnant woman who was about to give birth. Chapter 40-44. If we walk, it'll take at least 4 hours. If we're lucky enough to run into a car, it might be faster. Zhao Qingya replied angrily. Then she suddenly stopped in her tracks. Give me some antidote first. I'm itching. Zhao Qingya reached out her hand. Huamin glanced at her and took out a small white pill. Take one first. When Suyu and I are safe, I'll give you the antidote. You better not play any tricks. After all, even if you kill me, you won't know which is the real antidote. I have dozens of bottles of the same pills in my first aid kit. Huamin smiled. You're so vicious, Huamin. Zhao Qingya cursed in exasperation. Same to you. Miss Zhao, let's hurry. This is not a place to stay for long. Huamin was wary of Zhao Qingya, afraid that she would play tricks, so he said that on purpose. In fact, she didn't have so many pills in her first aid kit. It was just that Zhao Qingya was simple-minded and afraid of death, so it was easier to trick her. On the other side, Huamin and Suyu had just left. A beeping sound came from Layla's wrist. She looked down. He want to run. What's the matter, young madam? Huamin and Suyu left the cabin. According to the GPS, they're running northeast. Huamin must have used that stupid Zhao Qingya. What should we do now? I'll take people to chase after them, Jack said. You? How can I trust you? What if you can't bear to let your sister go at the critical moment? Wouldn't all my efforts be in vain? Layla reached out and touched Jack's chest flirtatiously. It seemed that her every move was filled with desire. Even a strong man like Jack couldn't take it anymore. He felt like he was about to be sucked dry by this woman. Fine. Since you don't trust me, I'll stay by your side. Otherwise, you'll be unhappy if I don't complete the mission well. Haha, you're angry, aren't you? Fool. Go. Why wouldn't I believe you? As for Suyu and Huamin, one is pregnant and the other is barely alive. They won't be able to get far. Bring some men to chase them down. As for Zhao Qingya, just kill her. That piece of trash shouldn't have been left alive. As for why, when I return, I'll personally deal with his dereliction of duty. All right, young lord, I'll bring some people over now. And go ahead. I'll bring 10 people with you. You guys drive there. It should be done within half an hour. Then you can meet up with me. Yes, young mistress. With Layla's order, Jack took 10 men and drove 2 SUVs to the northeast. On the other hand, Layla brought 17 to 18 elites with her, each of them holding a submachine gun. Everyone, let's rest here. This is the only way. Come, let's see who will arrive here first. Layla ordered everyone to stay where they were and wait for the rabbit to appear. At this moment, Qin Chu and Lu Yen were entering the center of the bamboo building from 2 directions with their men. At this moment, Lu Yen and Layla were only 5 kilometers away from them. Lu Yen only had 4 people with her, and each of them was an elite. Therefore, she didn't need to bring many people with her. Instead, she was worried about her brother-in-law since the signal was blocked here, and he couldn't use his cell phone or walkie-talkie. They had to be careful. Boss, someone buried many landmines here. Most of them are advanced invisible landmines. The enemy is a master. One of Lu Yan's subordinates, an expert in mine clearance, looked around and felt that this trip was dangerous. Good. I like to fight with masters. When I see her, I'll beat her until her mother can't recognize her. Lu Yan was domineering. Chapter 40-45. It was destined to be an eventful night. After Suyu went missing, Huamin went missing, and now Qin Chu went missing as well. His friends were on the verge of breaking down. Tang Chuan sent voice messages in the group chat almost every day. Gao Ran knew a little about the case, but refused to talk about it. Wei Liao and Jiang Xiaowei were also worried about them. They couldn't do anything but pray for their safety. After Wei Ying and Shen Mingxi remarried, they lived a peaceful life. After remarrying, the first thing Shen Mingxi did was to attack the Yi family's business. The Yi group's capital was in danger. After being beaten up, Yi Zhaoyang hid like a coward and didn't dare to show his face. Shen Mingxi was afraid that Wei Ying would be traumatized, so he bought another mansion and moved in. This time, the mansion wasn't far from Huomin's mother's sky blessing court. Shen Mingxi went to work on time. Wei Ying was busy with her work during the day and would come home early to cook for Shen Mingxi at night. Life was very warm. "Ying, did you transfer money to Tian again today?" Shen Mingxi asked Wei Ying during dinner. "Yeah, she told you." "She didn't. But she's young and doesn't have a separate card. Her card is my secondary card, so I can see her transactions." "Oh, I see. I can't hide anything from you." Wei Ying smiled. She looked beautiful and happy. "Ying, don't give Tian any more money. She doesn't lack anything. I just gave her $100,000. It hasn't even been a month. She's such a young child. How did she spend $100,000? You transferred another 50,000 yuan today. She can't go on like this." Although Shen Mingxi loved her, he didn't want her to become a spendthrift princess. Tian called me and said that there was a child in her class who had leukemia and was collecting donations. Tian donated 50,000 yuan at once. The school leaders were very happy and praised her. The teachers also treated her very well and made her the class monitor. I don't object to this kind of charity. Wei Ying didn't think there was anything wrong with what she did. Tian called her almost coquettishly. She called Wei Ying mom again and again, which melted Wei Ying's heart. It had to be said that she was still a relatively simple woman. Even though she had a grudge against Huo Yinyan before, she did not transfer it to the child. On the contrary, after Huo Yinyan's death, she had always felt guilty and treated Tian even better than before. I don't think she would dare to lie about this. After all, we can find out the truth after an investigation. But is she really doing charity and donating money to help her classmates? You mean? Wei Ying was surprised. I'm just afraid that she has other motives. Tian doesn't seem like someone who would be so kind to children. Shen Mingxi had a history of violence in Singapore, so he had always kept an eye out. Now, it was Wei Ying who trusted the kid, while Shen Mingxi was on his guard. That can't be. She's still so young. What does she know? Let's not think of her in a bad light. Xiaoying, leave Tian's living expenses to me in the future. Don't give her money in secret. She's young and doesn't understand many things, so we have to educate her well. Okay. Big brother Mingxi, I got it. Seeing Wei Ying lower her head and look aggrieved, Shen Mingxi's heart ached. He put his hand on the back of Wei Ying's hand and said gently, "Xiaoying, let's have a child of our own." Hearing his words, Wei Ying was stunned. She thought she had misheard him. Chapter 40-46. Big brother Mingxi. We have to have a child of our own, Shen Mingxi repeated. Wei Ying's cheeks flushed slightly. Although they had remarried, it seemed that they were still in a relationship and hadn't gotten used to being an old married couple. Shen Mingxi's words of love made Wei Ying blush. To them, betrayal, missing out on each other, and hurt each other. After going around in circles, they were both the only people they couldn't let go of. Big brother Mingxi, let nature take its course. It's not easy to have a child. By the way, how's big brother Suyu doing? Wei Ying cleverly changed the topic. At the mention of Suyu, Shen Mingxi's face turned serious. There's still no news. I heard that even Lord Su can't do anything. This time, it's really dangerous. Shen Mingxi's respect and love for Suyu were deep-rooted, just like when they were young. Especially when he was in trouble, Suyu was the only one who was willing to lend him a helping hand. He was very grateful. After remarrying Wei Ying, his relationship with the Wei family was still a bit tense. However, the Wei family didn't seem to be as hostile as before. Inside the dormitory of Imperial Star, after Su Xiaoxiao left, they were going to arrange for a new intern to live here. However, Han Yueyao's status was different now. After participating in Dance Allure, Han Yueyao became popular as a dark horse and had her own agent and assistant. There was even a rumor that she was Suyu's new favorite. This made Han Yueyao a hot new star, and some advertisers even came to her door. However, the The finals of Dance Allure hadn't started yet, so they didn't know who would win. Therefore, Han Yueao didn't accept any endorsements or commercial performances. Now that Suyu was missing, she couldn't make the decision herself. The day before yesterday, her agent's sister said that she wanted to ask the vice president for a new place for her to live. This was because Han Yueao was no longer the trainee she used to be. She was now a famous artist who could take charge of herself. According to the company's rules, female artists who didn't have a place to live would be provided with 2 bedrooms, and a living room in a high-end neighborhood, and a nanny van. But Han Yueao refused. She didn't want to move out. It wasn't that Bai Lianhua was pretending to be pitiful, but she felt that this place was very close to Star King, and it would be convenient for her to see Suyu. Besides, she had many memories with Su Xiaoxiao here, so she didn't move away. But the company didn't allow anyone to move in. Gradually, it became Han Yueao's single apartment. Late at night, Suyu don't die. Waking up from a nightmare, Han Yueao called Suyu's name desperately with sweat all over her forehead. She had just had a terrifying dream. In the dream, Suyu was covered in blood, lying in the ruins dying. With his eyes closed, no matter how much she called out to him or shook him, he didn't react at all. At that moment, she felt suffocated by the pain in her heart. She did not want Suyu to die. If Suyu died, she could not imagine what she would do. Would she go blind from crying? After waking up, Han Yueao was still in a bad mood even though she knew it was a dream. Listlessly, she got up and poured herself a glass of water. Looking at the clock, she saw it was 1:30 in the morning. At this moment, she received a WeChat message with a ding. Without drinking the water, Han Yueao ran back to get her cell phone. She really hoped that Suyu would reply to her WeChat message when he came back safely. In the past few days, she had been waiting for the message as if every time her cell phone rang, she would get scared. Chapter 40-47. Yuanbo. Yao, are you asleep? Han Yueao replied with a voice message in annoyance. Why aren't you sleeping at this time? Why are you harassing me? What do you want? Yuanbo. Haha. You finally replied to me. I just recorded a new song in the recording studio, and my brain is still excited. I can't sleep because I miss you. Han Yueao. Your flirting tricks won't work on me. Just give up, superstar. Yuanbo. I didn't use any tricks on you. If I did, you'd be in my bed now. Han Yueao. Damn it. How can you say such shameless words? Yuanbo. It's true. If I use tricks, no one can resist me. Haha. But I decided not to use any tricks on you, because you're the first girl I truly like. Han Yueao rolled her eyes. So, I should feel proud of your sincerity. Yuanbo. Okay. Han Yueao. Screw you. Go back to sleep. I'm not in the mood to bicker with you. Yuanbo. Yao, you're not in a good mood recently. Did Suyu dump you? Han Yueao. Han Yueao. Yuanbo, is your head full of feces? Can't I have other emotions? Why must it be Suyu who dumped me? Damn it. Can you stop cursing me? Yuanbo. Haha. Since you're in the mood, let's go out and have a drink. I found a small bar with a good atmosphere. The singer sings folk songs and is very interesting. Han Yueao. Good night. Goodbye. Before she finished listening to Yuanbo's voice message, Han Yueao typed a reply and turned her cell phone to silent mode. In her current mood, she didn't want to see anyone. She just wanted Suyu to come back safely. After drinking water, Han Yueao stood on the balcony and looked at the lights in the distance with mixed feelings. She carefully knelt down on the cold tiles. Bodhisattva, I beg you to protect Suyu and make him come back safely. If Suyu can come back safely, I'll do anything. I'll go to the temple and burn incense. I'll kowtow to you. Even if it costs me 10 years of my life, I'm willing. I beg you, please don't let anything happen to Suyu. She was an atheist and didn't believe in any religion. However, Huamin had once said something that was especially true. Once a person reached the point of despair, they could only pray to God. What else could he do? What else could he do? In the primitive forest, Suyu, Huamin, and Zhao Qingya had only walked for half an hour. But Huamin was already exhausted. He didn't know if Zhao Qingya was doing it on purpose, but the roads she led were all extremely difficult. It was extremely difficult to walk through the ditches. If Huomion's body had been like before, she wouldn't have had any problems. But now that she was pregnant, her feet were swollen even if she didn't walk. It was very difficult for her to walk on such mountain roads. Seeing her gasping for breath, Suyu's heart ached. Let's take a break. I think you can't take it anymore. Before Huomin could reply, Zhao Qingya immediately scolded him in a sarcastic tone. If you want to die, you can take a break here. I'll run anyway. At this point, I've already been dragged onto the pirate ship by you guys, and I can't get off. Young master's men all have cars, and it's only a matter of minutes for them to catch up to us. If she catches me, I'd rather die now. Thinking of the psychopath who twisted people's heads, Zhao Qingya shivered. So she didn't agree with the idea of taking a break. I'm fine, Suyu. She's right. We can't stop. We must get out. Huomin gritted his teeth and held on. At this moment, the roar of a car came from not far away. Damn it. Someone seems to be chasing us. Zhao Qingya panicked. Chapter 40-48. Hearing that someone was chasing them, Huomin and Suyu panicked. It's okay. Maybe they're not chasing us. Let's calm down first. Huomin comforted Zhao Qingya, afraid that she would go crazy and do something extreme. On the other side, Lu Yen and Qin Chu split up and approached the bamboo building with their men. Since all the electronic devices were blocked, Lu Yen and Qin Chu drew a rough map before they split up. After entering the jungle, they had to rely on the rough map to find it, so it was very difficult. Lu Yen and her men often fought in the wild and had rich experience, so they arrived at the intersection before Qin Chu's men. But Layla had been waiting for them here. Young madam, they're here. After a while, Layla's men reported in a low voice when it was about time. Layla put down the glass of human blood in her hand and smiled. It's good that she's here. I've just had my fill. I can play with her now. Layla turned on her watch and saw Lu Yen approaching step by step. She waved her hand, and her men all disguised themselves and hid under the thick leaves. At first glance, they couldn't see anything. After Lu Yen and her men pushed aside the last branch, they saw the woman standing in the jungle. Sis! Lu Yen had never expected to see her sister as soon as she came in. Moreover, she was just standing there by herself like a fool. Yen! The woman was excited to see Lu Yen. Lu Yen was relieved when she heard her sister's voice. Lu Yen could imitate the appearance, but not the voice. She was very good at recognizing voices. Therefore, he didn't think too much about it. He immediately ran over and hugged her. Sis, you scared me. Are you okay? I'm fine. Yen, why are you here? How did you know I was here? Lu Yen was about to speak when she looked down and saw her sister's flat belly. Sis, where's the baby? Where's your baby? Lu Yan's voice was very excited and raised a few decibels. At the mention of the baby, the woman's face showed faint sadness. Yen, the baby is gone. Those people abused me and Suyu. I couldn't save the baby. Then why are you here? Lu Yen was confused. Maybe they know you're here to save me, so they purposely let me lure you here. Yen, hurry up and leave. Don't worry about me. They're very scary. The woman tried to push Lu Yen away, which made Lu Yan's heart ache even more. He didn't know what she had gone through, but his sister's child was gone. When the woman pushed her, Lu Yen grabbed her wrist. Sis, I'm not leaving. I'm here to save you. Brother-in-law and I are here to save you. Where's Suyu? Where is Suyu? Suyu is still in that bamboo building. This is a trap. Yen, you should leave. Don't worry about me anymore. As she spoke, the woman squatted down, covered her face and wept. She looked very sad. Damn it. These bastards dared to bully my sister. I'll make them pay with their blood. Lu Yen was furious. Her sister, who was about to give birth, was in such a state. With her temper, she would probably blow this place up. Just as Lu Yen was about to storm into the bamboo house, Qin Chu heard her voice. Suddenly, she felt a chill on her waist, as if something was stabbing at her. Lu Yen reacted quickly and turned around, twisting the woman's wrist, but the woman still managed to escape. Then Lu Yen jumped back and glared at the woman with the sharp dagger in her hand. Who the hell are you? Whoa, not bad. When did you find out? Layla smiled and played with the knife in her hand. Chapter 40-49. You have too many flaws. I saw through your tricks long ago. Lu Yan's face was cold. Tisk tsk. I didn't waste my time. A genius who graduated from West Point is indeed different. You're a little better than your stupid sister. Layla didn't expect Lu Yan to see through her identity so quickly. She had planned to stab Lu Yan in the back when she was unprepared. But Lu Yan didn't have time to react. She wanted to capture Lu Yan instantly, but she didn't expect Lu Yan to react so quickly. In fact, Lu Yan was a little wary at the beginning, because it was abnormal for her sister to appear here alone. Besides, this sister's figure didn't look like a woman who had just had a miscarriage. It must be noted that she was about to give birth. Even if she had a miscarriage, she would have to induce labor. A woman who had just had an abortion didn't have so much energy. So Lu Yan took the opportunity to touch the woman's wrist. She came from a medical family. Although she liked to study explosions, Lu Yan's medical skills were actually good. When she was 15 or 16, she was obsessed with Chinese medicine for a period of time. So she was especially interested in pulse feeling and studied it for about half a year. She knew almost all the theories of Chinese medicine. As soon as she touched the woman's wrist, she knew she was lying. A woman who had just had a miscarriage definitely didn't have this pulse. So Lu Yan became even more suspicious. When Lu Yan turned around, it was the best time to strike. Sure enough, she did it. But because Lu Yan was prepared for it, the knife didn't succeed. Lu Yan didn't expect to be intimidated by someone as soon as she arrived. No wonder her father had been telling her not to act rashly on the phone. It seemed that something was wrong this time. First of all, the woman who looked exactly like her sister wasn't wearing a human skin mask or having plastic surgery. Lu Yan had checked this when she was close to her. Second, their voices were exactly the same. The woman wore her sister's favorite clothes and imitated her every frown and smile. Not to mention Lu Yan. Ordinary people probably wouldn't be able to see through it. Fortunately, Lu Yan was attentive and found something wrong. Then she tested it carefully. If her brother-in-law saw this woman, Lu Yan didn't dare to imagine the consequences. She felt a chill run down her spine. Where's my sister? Do you want to know? Come and beat me? Layla smiled. Then Layla's subordinates emerged from their camouflage positions. You guys go back first. Don't worry. I want to play some fighting games with this little girl who doesn't know her place. You're arrogant. Lu Yan looked at Layla in annoyance. She was the first person in the world who dared to challenge Lu Yan to a fight. That's right. My greatest pleasure today is to torture you. I've always liked to smash other people's high and mighty things into smithereens. You can call it a bad habit or a pervert. Anyways, the genius of West Point, the female warrior of the mercenary world, the goddess revered by assassins, the legend, the myth, the little devil that Caslias and Ian are most afraid of. Lu Yan, come on, let's fight. If you win, I'll let you take Huamin away. If you lose, you'll have a new place to go. Infuriated, Lu Yan flew into a rage. Tell me, trash, how do you want to play? I'll play with you until the end. Lu Yan took off her jacket and gave Layla the middle finger. Her blood boiled instantly. Lu Yan hadn't had fun in a long time. The woman in front of her was so arrogant that it made her furious, but also excited. Chapter 40-50. On the other side, Qin Chu was also having a hard time walking, because the road around the bamboo building was filled with minefields. Qin Chu's subordinates weren't as professional as Lu Yan's, so they only walked a few hundred meters before someone was injured by an explosion. Fortunately, Qin Chu had a professional first aid kit and treated his subordinates' wounds in time. President Qin, don't worry about us. Go and find a young lady. Let's go together. I brought you here, so I'm going to take you out. Qin Chu insisted, and even led the way in front of them. They searched for the bamboo building according to the map. As they carefully cleared the mines, the rescue mission became even more difficult. Huamin, Suyu, and Zhao Qingya's fighting spirit was slowly destroyed by Jack's arrival. You ran fast enough, Jack smiled. His subordinates were more than a dozen dark-faced men with submachine guns. At that moment, Suyu was in despair. He wasn't afraid of death, but Mion couldn't die here. Zhao Qingya, you've got guts. You even dared to betray the young master. Jack glanced at Zhao Qingya and smiled. I didn't. I was just threatened by Huomin. That little bitch poisoned me. If I don't listen to her, the poison will take effect. So, please don't tell the young master, okay? Zhao Qingya changed her words at the last minute. To prove the truth of her words, she even rudely tore at Huomin's hair. However, as soon as she touched it, Suyu pushed her away and she fell to the ground. Suyu's strength was gradually recovering, so he was furious at Zhao Qingya's rudeness to Huomin. He used almost all his strength to hit her, and Zhao Qingya was caught off guard. She fell to the ground in a sorry state. Suyu, Huomin! Haha, your time of death has come. Even so, you won't be able to escape. Once we return to the young lord's hands, we'll all die. But before we die, I'd better take my revenge. Then, Zhao Qingya suddenly took out a pistol from her back and aimed it at Huomin's back. Just as she was about to pull the trigger, her head suddenly exploded. His brain juices burst out, and then he instantly fell to the ground. Suyu and Huomin looked at Jack in horror. In his hand was a pistol with strong explosive power. Shooting at close range, Zhao Qingya died a horrible death. He didn't even have time to scream. Huomin looked at the white brain matter and retched. He almost threw up the porridge that he had eaten earlier. Suyu hurriedly supported her. Mion, how are you? Huomin waved his hand and tried his best to suppress the churning in his stomach. She took a deep breath and looked at Jack. Then with a plop, she knelt down. With her big belly, her movements were very clumsy, and she looked like a round chinchilla. Jack's eyes instantly became deep. He didn't say anything, and just looked at Huomin quietly. Huomin, what are you doing? Why are you kneeling to him? Suyu was angry. Yes, Huomin was a person with a backbone. She wouldn't say anything even if you killed her. But at this moment, she suddenly knelt to a psycho like Jack. What she did was unexpected. Suyu was furious. He went to help Huomin, but Huomin didn't have any intention of standing up. Jack, please. Your young master wants to catch me. This has nothing to do with Suyu. I'll go back with you, but please let Suyu go. With that, Huomin solemnly kowtowed to Jack. At this moment, Suyu felt like his heart was about to break. Chapter 40-51. Huomin, you're really devoted to Suyu. Jack didn't sound sarcastic or contemptuous. It was as if he was just stating a fact. Perhaps Huomin's actions had shocked him. This woman was always able to catch him off guard. Huomin, get up. What are you doing? Do you want me to die? Suyu was about to fly into a rage. He swore that if Huomin wasn't pregnant, he would have slapped her. He really wanted to give her a tight slap across her face. What was she doing? Huomin ignored Suyu and continued to beg Jack. Let me settle the grudge between us. I don't want to implicate my friend. Please let him go. Otherwise, I'll take the poison and kill myself right now. I'm afraid you won't be able to explain it to your master, because he doesn't seem to want me to die. I might still be useful. Seeing that Jack didn't speak, Huomin used his trump card. A white pill appeared in his hand out of nowhere. I promise you. Almost without thinking, Jack said these 4 words. Then send Suyu away now. I want to see Suyu leave. Huomin requested. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. Huomin, you big idiot. If anything happens to you, I don't want to live. I can't live. Suyu was about to break down. Huomin's actions made him feel extremely selfish. He didn't even ask for Jack's opinion, and even threatened Jack with such an extreme method as taking poison. Suyu was about to go crazy. Huomin turned his head and looked at Suyu. His eyes were unprecedentedly calm. Suyu, be good. 1 death is better than 2 deaths. Besides, I won't die. Those people haven't achieved their goal yet, and won't kill me. You don't have to stay here with me. Master Lord Su is still waiting for you. Everyone is waiting for you. Han Yueao is a good girl. Suyu, you still have a great life ahead of you. Don't talk nonsense with me. Without you, Huomin, my life isn't a good life. Suyu almost roared these words. It had been a few years. He had hidden this feeling in his heart, and didn't dare to confess it. He was afraid of causing misunderstandings between Huamin and Qin Shu. He was afraid of burdening Huamin. He didn't even let his friends joke around with him. Huamin had become a secret in his heart. But at this moment, this secret couldn't be hidden anymore. Huamin thought that Suyu didn't care about Suyu's kindness. What he wanted was a life with her. Even if they could only be good friends, he wanted a life with her. Okay. I don't have time to watch you confess to each other. Huamin, come back with me. Jack didn't want to see Suyu and Huamin being lovey-dovey. So he stopped them in time. I won't go. Even if I die here, I won't leave you behind. Suyu, listen to me. Please. Huamin's tears fell like rain. She just wanted to send Suyu out safely. If Suyu returned safely, then one of her wishes would be fulfilled. Why? Huamin, why are you making decisions for me? Who do you think you are? Who are you to me? I won't listen to you this time. I won't leave you behind. Suyu's bloodshot eyes were no longer filled with tears. This scene reminded him of the nightmare from more than a month ago. Huamin was covered in blood, but she let him go. His heart was in so much pain that he almost suffocated. Huamin, the woman he was willing to sacrifice his life for, was torturing him at this critical moment. Suyu was in so much pain. Chapter 40-52. You're so slow. Since you don't want to leave, I'll give you a ride. Jack snatched the submachine gun from the black man beside him and aimed it at Suyu. At that moment, Huamin quickly got up from the ground and stood in front of Suyu. What are you doing? Huamin frowned and asked. I'm sending you to hell. Then, Jack smiled and pulled the trigger of the submachine gun. At that moment, Huamin and Suyu both held their breaths. They thought that Jack was going to take revenge on them, and they were dead meat. But the moment Jack pulled the trigger, he pointed the gun at the people behind him. Then the sound of the submachine gun rang out. The dozen or so people who came with Jack all fell to the ground with bloody holes in their chests. Huamin and Suyu were dumbfounded. Why? Huamin was really confused. He was stunned by Jack's reversal. Long time no see, little sister Mian. Jack smiled gently. Huamin would never forget this expression, because she had seen it countless times on the desert tour. This was Hua Xiqian's expression, that no one else could imitate. So this wasn't Jack at all? Hua Xiqian, how long have you been here? Huamian wanted to know when he had turned into a human. After all, a split personality needed to be transformed. Yeah, more than half a month. Hua Xiqian smiled. So, it's been you for the past few days? Huamin was so surprised that his jaw almost fell to the ground. Because in the past few days, she really couldn't tell. Yes, I didn't see any flaws at all. Huamin was surprised. Hua Xiqian threw the submachine gun in his hand to the side of the road and slowly walked over. If you saw through it, would I still be able to fool Layla? When Huamin saw Hua Xiqian, whom he hadn't seen in a long time, he suddenly felt a burst of warmth in his heart. He no longer had the disgust he had before. Perhaps it was because of this sensitive moment. Seeing him was like seeing a family member. You're Hua Xiqian, so you couldn't tell at all. It had to be said that this guy was very shrewd, and his acting skills were very good. Aha! Hua Xiqian whistled as he walked towards Huamin. What do you want? Suyu pulled Huamin behind him vigilantly. Don't panic. If I wanted to hurt you, they wouldn't have fallen just now. Without waiting for Huamin to respond, Gu Nianji said. Hua Xiqian pulled her out from behind Suyu. Then, he took out a wet wipe from his pocket and slowly opened it. Then, he took out the wet wipe and gently wiped Huamin's face. In this primitive jungle, even water was precious, let alone something as luxurious as wet wipes. Huamin didn't resist, because after the thrilling experience just now, she didn't have the strength to think anymore. She just stood there quietly and let Hua Xiqian wipe her face. Look, you're beautiful like this. Hua Xiqian looked at Huamin's delicate face with a smile. Hua Xiqian, who is your master? Why did he capture us? Suyu couldn't wait. Although Hua Xiqian wasn't a friend, he was definitely not an enemy either. I'll tell you later. Mian, you must be tired. Come, get in the car. Without waiting for Huamin's reply, Hua Xiqian picked Huamin up by the waist. Then he walked towards the only off-road vehicle. Suyu, come here. Seeing that Suyu was still in a daze behind them, Huamin hurriedly called out to him. Suyu came back to his senses and followed. You drive. I want to accompany Mian in the back seat, Huasiqian ordered Suyu. Why should I? Lord Su wasn't convinced. He also wanted to accompany Mian in the back seat. Who wouldn't want such a good job? Chapter 4053. Because I saved both of your lives. If it weren't for me, you Suyu might still be in that perverted bamboo house, being kept captive. Fuck. Suyu wanted to say something else, but Huamin interrupted. Suyu, you drive. Okay. After Huamin spoke, Suyu obediently sat in the driver's seat. Sit in the passenger seat. Huamin pointed at Huasiqian. Sister Mian, you're so heartless. I just saved you, and you're chasing me away. Huasiqian finally dared to show his true colors. So he actually acted coquettishly and cutely to Huamin. God knew how hard it was for him to hold it in. He was especially excited when he saw Mian. However, because of Layla, he had to pretend to be Jack to torture Mian and mock her. God knew how hard it was for him. Right now, he just wanted to sit beside Huamin and accompany her. Sit down. Don't talk nonsense. Huamin could finally order the two men around with his head held high. Although Huasiqian was unwilling, he didn't want to make Huamin unhappy. He took out a bottle of water from the trunk. He handed it to Huamin. Sister Mian, drink some water. Suyu, you drink first. Huamin handed it to Suyu. Huasiqian glanced at Suyu coldly, turned around, went to the trunk, and took out 2 more bottles. He placed them next to Huamin. Then he sat in the passenger seat unwillingly. With Huasiqian leading the way, it was much easier for Suyu to drive. Just like that, the 3 of them began their escape. Huasiqian. Didn't you go on a mission with that woman? Why did you come back halfway? Because she found out that you guys escaped, so she asked me to come and catch you guys. Does she trust you that much? Huamin was in disbelief. I don't think she trusts me. She just doesn't have a better plan. After all, she's facing your sister Lu Yan and your husband Qin Shu. Suyu, can we not go down the mountain? Huamin, do you want to go back? Suyu could tell that Huamin wanted to go back and save people. Before Huamin could reply, Huasiqian laughed. Little sister Mian, you'll die if you go back. You'll distract Lu Yan and Qin Shu. Why don't you let them fight for a while? I think you shouldn't underestimate Lu Yan. Huasiqian knew Lu Yan's abilities very well, so he hoped that Lu Yan could teach the Psycho Layla a lesson. But my husband and Yan are here to save me. If I leave, won't they get nothing? Huamin began to feel uneasy. It's better than going back and being held hostage by Layla to threaten them, Huasiqian said. Mian, I think he's right. Suyu agreed with Huasiqian. Suyu, can you drive faster? I'm afraid the second group of people will catch up with us. There's a second group? Suyu was shocked. Hehe. What do you think? You can't imagine how powerful Layla is. I really hope Lu Yan can break her spirit. You can say that if Layla catches up with us while we're running, it'll prove one thing. Lu Yan lost. Suyu seemed to have guessed what Huasiqian was going to say. Yan won't lose. Huamin was very confident in his sister, and was very protective of her. Yeah, I hope so. Huasiqian smiled and didn't say more. Meanwhile, in the depths of the dense forest, Layla and Lu Yan were fighting head-on with submachine guns in their hands. Lu Yan and Layla took off their jackets and walked to the open space in the middle. Lu Yan had a feeling that this might be the most exciting and fierce hand-to-hand combat she had ever had in years. Chapter 4054. Lu Yan, you'll regret making this decision today. Layla smiled contemptuously. Okay, trash. I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. Let's beat you up, so I can save my sister. Lu Yan had always valued her time, and would never waste it on meaningless people or things. So Lu Yan had years of practical experience in close combat. She had fought since she was a child and had killed enough people to fill a city. So, she didn't realize that she would lose this time. Of course, if she knew the woman's identity in advance, she probably wouldn't have been so careless. Come on, I'll fight you with one hand. Layla's words infuriated Lu Yan again. She flew up and punched Layla's head. This punch was full of strength. Layla reacted quickly and dodged to the side. She thought it was a trap when she said she would fight with one hand. But after a few punches, Lu Yan found that she really only used one hand. It had been a minute since she went all out, but she hadn't hurt the woman at all. This hurt Lu Yan's self-esteem. She almost used all her skills, hoping to end the battle quickly and save her sister safely. But the more she fought, the more she found the woman was difficult to deal with. After fighting for 5 minutes, there seemed to be no winner. This wasn't the scariest thing. The scariest thing was that Lu Yan could see that she was attacking while the woman was defending. In other words, the woman hadn't really used her skills yet. But Lu Yan had used all her skills. Obviously, Layla was dealing with it easily, but Lu Yan was struggling. Another punch missed. Lu Yan spun in the air. When she landed, her expression changed slightly. It's impossible. How did she do it? Lu Yan felt the woman's skills didn't conform to scientific principles at all. She couldn't tell what was wrong, but something was wrong. What? Are you tired? Can't you handle it? Layla smiled. Agitated, Lu Yan rushed up again. No matter how fast and fierce her moves were, she couldn't hurt the woman at all. The subordinates on both sides were also very nervous. Lu Yan's subordinates saw it clearly and began to worry for their boss. Boss, something's wrong. No way. Why do I feel like there's something wrong with that woman? But I think it's because our boss isn't performing normally. She's not like this usually. It's really strange. That woman's movements are so fast. I didn't even see how she dodged, but boss didn't hit her? Her subordinates were right. Lu Yan was having a hard time. After another round, Lu Yan was slightly out of breath. How is it? Have you had enough fun? If you've had enough fun, then now, it's my turn. After saying that, Layla took the initiative to attack. At that moment, his eyes dazzled Lu Yan. To be honest, it was strange. Lu Yan had to overcome her psychological barrier whenever she was with someone who looked exactly like her sister. He told himself that the person he had hit was not his sister, but someone who looked like his sister. But Layla showed no mercy to Lu Yan. His fists were fast, and his legs were strong as well. After a few moves, Lu Yan's dodging slowed down because the woman's speed was beyond human limits. You won't have more than 2 seconds to catch your breath. Fortunately, Lu Yan was experienced. Otherwise, she would have been defeated. Even so, Lu Yan still got punched hard in the ribs. Boss! Lu Yan's subordinates panicked and said in unison. Chapter 40-55. At that moment, Lu Yan heard the sound of her bones breaking. Yes, it was just one punch. Layla punched her. Lu Yan felt that her ribs were breaking, and a piercing pain came from her armpits. But Lu Yan was a warrior and wouldn't fall so easily. So even though she was in excruciating pain, she forced herself to stand up. Not bad. Your ribs are broken, but you don't even frown. Lu Yan, you're indeed awesome. Layla was a little surprised. She had studied Lu Yan's skills. She had seen many of Lu Yan's close combat moves a long time ago. Some were from West Point, some were from Lu Yan on a mission, and some were from fighting in Las Vegas. In short, Layla had seen a lot of Lu Yan's fighting methods in the information she collected. So, she had completely figured out Lu Yan's tactics. However, she admired Lu Yan's strength and stubbornness. The pain of broken ribs was unbearable for ordinary people. Not to mention standing up. Even moving would cause excruciating pain. But Lu Yan stood up calmly without saying a word. She was indeed a warrior. Cut the crap, trash. Continue fighting. Lu Yan gestured at Layla with her finger provocatively. All of Lu Yan's subordinates knew her well. She wouldn't admit defeat. And the more she was defeated, the braver she became. At this moment, Layla's watch beeped. She lowered her head, glanced at it, and smiled. My pet dog really betrayed me. TSK. It seems like I really can't waste time. I'm going to find my dog and my prey. With that, Layla didn't waste any more time and rushed over. She promised to use one hand, and she didn't go back on her word. However, Lu Yan found that even with one hand, she was still no match for Layla. Yes, this thought was terrifying. Lu Yan had been in the mercenary world for many years, but it had been a long time since she met such an opponent. This woman, who looked exactly like his elder sister, had the ability to reach the heavens. Such a person. What was her purpose? She remembered that her father had called her and told her and her brother-in-law not to save her. Could it be that her father already knew about the conspiracy? Was it someone even her father couldn't deal with? At this moment, Lu Yan finally believed that she might have fallen into a trap. A person who looked exactly like his sister, and she also had powerful close combat skills. Wasn't this a conspiracy in itself? Boss doesn't seem to be able to hold on any longer. Should we go and help? On the count of 3, we will fire together and kill all the people on the other side. Lu Yan's soldiers were confident in their marksmanship. Therefore, he planned to take advantage of the fact that his boss was not injured again to suddenly open fire and kill all of them in one go. That woman was flirting with Lu Yan. Lu Yan's subordinates suddenly fired, interrupting the game. Layla's men all fell to the ground. You really can't afford to lose, letting your people play such tricks. Layla laughed sarcastically. There's no need to talk about loyalty when dealing with a scheming person like you. No matter what method you use, it's fine as long as you can kill him. Lu Yan didn't blame her for the sneak attack. Instead, she thought the best way was to kill this woman. However, Lu Yan's subordinates fired at the woman in unison. In an instant, something strange happened. She dodged as fast as a beam of light, making it impossible for people to see her speed and figure clearly. By the time they reacted, Layla was already behind them. I didn't want to kill, but you really pissed me off. Layla smiled strangely. Chapter 40-56. After Layla said that, 2 daggers appeared in her sleeves. She instantly stabbed the daggers into the backs of the 2 men, where their hearts were. Then, she pressed her hands on the heads of the other 2 men and twisted them. The whole process took less than 10 seconds. From 10 meters away, Lu Yan witnessed the whole process of this psycho woman torturing and killing her subordinates. No. Lu Yan had deep feelings for these subordinates. Some of them had been with Lu Yan for 6 or 7 years. They were like family to her. Besides, each of them was a top-notch fighter. Yet just like that, he had been so easily killed by someone. When her subordinates fired, Lu Yan thought this woman was dead for sure. After all, it was the power of 4 submachine guns. However, not only was the woman fast enough to dodge the attack, but she also quickly moved behind them and staged this cruel scene. Their hearts were pierced, and their heads were twisted off. This didn't conform to scientific evidence. Who on earth are you? Lu Yan felt chills down her spine. She even wondered if this woman was not human at all. Was she some kind of monster that had turned into a spirit? This kind of movement and speed was not something a human could achieve. Lu Yan felt that this matter was getting more and more complicated. If only her father was here. Lu Yan even had a feeling that she might die here today. She watched as the psycho woman walked toward her step by step. Lu Yan decided to prepare for the final battle. At this moment, Xiao Fei, who had just entered the border of Yunnan, was already anxious. This had never happened before. It was the first time he had received a call from the professor in so many years. After all, the professor didn't ask him to help Lu Yan when she was in danger. But this time, the professor asked him to come and save her. It could be said that the opponent was very powerful. Because he was a Russian citizen, Xiao Fei entered the border as a businessman with more than a dozen subordinates. They drove 5 Mercedes-Benz off-road vehicles on the border roads. Suddenly, without warning, the string of black Buddhist prayer beads on Xiao Fei's wrist broke, and the beads scattered in the car. Stop the car. Xiao Fei shouted with a terrible expression. What's wrong? Young master. I'm going out to get some fresh air. Xiao Fei said and got out of the car in a panic. He had been wearing this string of Buddhist beads for many years, and it had never been a problem. Now that it had suddenly broken without any warning, it was definitely not a good sign. He remembered that when his mother passed away, a piece of jade around his neck shattered without warning. Later on, he heard people say that the jade was something that was protected by the spirit. If it broke for no reason, it was a great misfortune. Sure enough, when his mother passed away, he was sad for a long time. Now that the Buddhist beads were broken, he naturally thought of Lu Yan, whose fate was unknown. He dialed Lu Yan's number but couldn't get through. Yin, wait for me. Xiao Fei smoked a small Russian cigar by the roadside and quickly got into the car. He strung the scattered beads together and fixed them one by one. According to the location given by the professor, the group quickly moved forward. At this moment, Lu Yan was lying on the grass dying. His body and head were covered in blood. This woman's moves were not only fast, but her strength was also extraordinary. Lu Yan tried her best, but she was still beaten for 3 minutes. After all, 3 minutes from a master could turn you into a vegetable. Lu Yan felt very sleepy, and her eyelids were heavy. She wanted to sleep. She wanted to have a good sleep. But she still wanted to save her sister. Her sister and her unborn nephew were still waiting for her. Chapter 40-57. On the other side, Qin Chu spent more than 2 hours, but still couldn't walk out of the minefield. The minefield Qin Chu was in was densely filled with landmines. There were several times more landmines than the road Lu Yan took. If he wasn't careful, he would be blown to pieces. Therefore, the path that he took with him was exceptionally difficult. Qin Chu kept thinking that Mian deliberately waited for him safely. Tormented by missing his wife, Qin Chu walked carefully step by step. On the other side, Huamin, Huasiqian, and Suyu had already driven to the nearest town. It was a village with less than a dozen families. The houses looked like they would collapse with a gust of wind. At least we've seen them. Let's go eat something, Suyu said. I suggest we continue on our way. It's best to find a town to hide in. This village is too small, and our target is too obvious. But it's dark now. It's difficult to walk. Even if we don't eat, Mian has to eat. She has a child. Suyu said angrily. He still didn't like Huasiqian. Even though he saved their lives, Suyu still looked down on him. Mian, what do you think? It was obvious that Huasiqian was very afraid of Layla. He was really afraid that she would catch up with him. In fact, it didn't matter if he lived or died. But if Huamin returned to Layla's hands, then I'm a little tired too. The baby moves frequently. Let's take a break. Huamin stood on Suyu's side. Huasiqian smiled and wasn't angry. Okay, we'll listen to you. Let's go find something to eat. After Suyu parked the car, the 3 of them got out. Huasiqian, about that woman. Shoo. For some reason, Huasiqian gestured that he didn't want Huamian to mention Layla. However, he felt that Huasiqian had his reasons. Seeing his reaction, Huamin did not pursue the matter any further. Suyu looked at the 2 of them mysteriously. What are you 2 talking about? What woman? It's fine. Suyu, go knock on the door and buy some food. Why don't you go? Suyu was not convinced. Because I don't have money. Me neither. Suyu rolled his eyes. But you have a watch. Huasiqian pointed at the diamond-studded Patek Philippe in Suyu's hand and smiled maliciously. Sell mine. My watch is cheap. Huamin couldn't bear to let Suyu sell his watch, so he took off the limited edition Cartier Platinum watch on his wrist. How can I do that? I'm fine. Use mine. I have many watches. Seeing that Huamin was about to take off his watch, Suyu's heart ached. He walked directly to a farmer's house and knocked on the door. After a long time, a girl who looked about 15 or 16 years old opened the door. Who are you looking for? She sounded timid. Little girl, we're tourists. We got lost here and are very hungry. Can you give us something to eat? The little girl's eyes were very innocent, as if she had never seen anything evil. Don't worry. We won't eat for free. We can give you something valuable in exchange, Suyu added. Granny, an uncle and his friends said they're tourists. They got lost and are very hungry. Can you give them something to eat? The little girl seemed to be asking an elder in the house. The old lady said something that seemed to be in her hometown language, but Suyu didn't understand. However, the little girl opened the door and said in a friendly manner, My granny said yes. Come in. Just like that, Suyu, Huasiqian, and Huamin found a place to stay. However, this family was as poor as a church mouse. There was really nothing in the house. The granny was rotten. It was obvious that the little girl and the old lady didn't have a good life. Little girl, is there anything to eat? Suyu thought that Huamin must be starving. Is corn paste okay? We only have this at home. The child's eyes were still innocent. Suyu felt sorry for the child. Chapter 4058. What the hell is corn paste? Suyu was confused. Actually, he couldn't be blamed. He had never heard of such a thing. Huomin was the most knowledgeable. She hurried over and said in a friendly manner, Okay. Sorry to trouble you, sister. The little girl looked at them eagerly, and then went to the kitchen to prepare. Although it was called a kitchen, it was actually very simple. It was just a place connected to the house. And it was cold. The entire house felt dark, and it was a little oppressive and suffocating. In his impression, Suyu had only seen it on TV, and it was a program about teaching in the mountains. It was hard to imagine that there were still people so poor in society. On the wooden bed in the house, there was a pile of miscellaneous things, and an old granny who looked very old. Her legs were covered with a quilt, and she seemed to be shivering from the cold. This family is really poor, Huasiqian commented. Keep your voice down. Huomin couldn't bear to see him like this. I'm telling the truth. Suyu, the money you spend at night is enough to feed this village for a few years, Huasiqian said with sarcasm. President Hua, stop fooling around. The jewelry you buy for a female model is enough to feed these people for half their lives. Suyu refused to be outdone. Okay, stop arguing. Does anyone have a phone with them? Huomin thought of something very important. I definitely don't. Suyu spread his hands helplessly. I don't either. Layla would never let me have my own communication device. If I hadn't pretended to be Jack for so long, I would have died long ago. Then will the village have one? I have to call my husband and tell him that I'm safe. Do you think this village where birds don't lay eggs and rabbits don't shit will have one? Huasiqian sneered. Then what should I do? I'm worried about him. Sister Mian, let's worry about ourselves. I think the person Layla is looking for is you. Huasiqian didn't know what Layla's ultimate goal was. However, just by looking at Layla's face that looked exactly like Huomin's, he knew that this matter must have something to do with Huomin. While the three of them were chatting, the little girl was making corn paste. The old lady didn't seem to like interacting with strangers. She hid in the house and refused to come out. Her eyesight didn't seem too good either. The three of them chatted in the west room of the house. The little girl struggled to lift up a small wooden table. Suyu hurriedly got up to help the little girl. Little girl, what's your name? Xiaoling, the girl's voice was very pleasant. You have the same name as Lingling. Huomin smiled when he heard that the name was very similar to Zhu Lingling's. The girl brought 3 small bowls with some thin corn paste in them. Corn paste was actually similar to corn porridge. However, because of the addition of green onions and salt, it had a taste. Therefore, it was a combination of food and drink. This was a method that was almost lost in remote and backward villages. To be honest, it wasn't delicious, but this family seemed to be very poor. There was nothing they could do. Little girl, this is for you. Thank you for giving us food. So you didn't go back on his word, and took off the Patek Philippe on his wrist. One had to know that when he bought it, it cost more than 1,000,000 yuan, because it was a limited edition. Now, even if he went to a pawn shop in a big city or a clock recycling place, he would have to pay at least 200,000 yuan. At the very least, he would have to pay 200,000 yuan. 200,000 yuan was enough to buy a very large building in this small town. No, uncle, take it back. Xiaoling doesn't want it. The little girl hid back in fear. Chapter 4059. Little girl, we're not bad people. You can sell the watch uncle gave you in the big city. You can get some money and live a better life. Huomin felt that a 15-year-old child should be able to understand these words. No, Grandma said. I can't take things from other people. This is our reward for buying corn paste from you. Is that okay? Huomin whispered to the little girl. Corn paste isn't worth much. We have a lot of corn in our fields. Grandma and I ground a lot of corn paste. It's enough to last us the whole winter. The little girl pointed to a dark corner of the kitchen, where there were a few bags of corn flour. Huomin's heart ached when he heard this. You're still growing. You can't just eat this. It's okay, I'm used to it. Huasiqian and Suyu, 2 grown men, felt sad when they heard this. The two of them were silent. Okay, we know that little girl is kind. If you don't want it, we won't give it to you. Huamin gave Suyu a look and told him to put away the watch. Why don't you sit down and eat with us? Huamin invited her. The little girl shook her head and pointed to the east room. Big brother, big sister, you guys eat slowly. I'll go in and accompany Grandma. Then, the little girl went into Grandma's room. Huamin looked at Suyu. When we get back, we'll send someone to pick them up. I'll arrange a house for the little girl to continue her studies. She's so pitiful. She has no one to rely on. Yeah, I think so. My heart aches when I hear this. Suyu put away the watch and agreed with Huamin. Then, the three of them scooped up the shabby-looking corn paste and drank it. Maybe it was because they were starving, but the three of them ate very happily. Afraid that Huamin didn't have enough, Huasiqian and Suyu only took a few small bites and pushed the rest to Huamin. You guys go ahead. I really don't have much of an appetite. If it weren't for the baby, I wouldn't have eaten. Huamin wasn't in the mood because he didn't know what was going on with Lu Yen and Qin Chu. After the meal, it was time to rest. The little girl took 2 worn-out quilts, which seemed to be the only ones in the house. Suyu, go sleep in the car and keep watch. What about you? Of course I'm in the room with little sister Mion. In your dreams. I won't give you the chance to hurt Mion. Get in the car. Suyu began to confront Huasiqian again. Stop arguing, both of you get out. Huamin's words calmed the tension between the two once again. All right, I agree. Hearing Huamin's words, Suyu immediately raised his hand in agreement, afraid that Huasiqian would stick to Huamin and play tricks on him. TSK, you're so heartless. I haven't seen you in so long. Can't we catch up? Huasiqian looked at Huamin gently with a smile in his eyes. I'm not in the mood to catch up with you right now, but if you talk to me about Layla, I'm willing to talk to you more. Forget it. Hearing Huamin talk about Layla, Huasiqian frowned and didn't say anything else. In fact, it wasn't that he didn't want to talk about it, but it was about Layla. Huasiqian was left with bad memories. What if his emotions got the better of him and brought out that psycho Jack? Wouldn't that be the opposite of what he wanted? Therefore, Huasiqian didn't say anything in the end. Instead, he followed Suyu out of the door and into the car. Can we escape? Why do I feel like it's too easy? Is this a trap set by you and that psycho to let us go on purpose? Suyu stared at Huasiqian from the passenger seat and asked. Your imagination is really wild. I think you're more suited to writing novels than running an entertainment company. Huasiqian smiled. Don't you think it's too easy for us to escape? Suyu still felt that something was wrong. Chapter 4060. Was it easy? If I hadn't hidden for so long and tricked Layla, do you think you guys would have been able to escape? Just because of that idiot Zhao Qingya? And she was so indecisive? Huasiqian's tone was full of contempt and mockery. He couldn't believe that someone as smart as Huamin was actually willing to believe Zhao Qingya. Perhaps Huamin really had no choice back then? You and Mion keep talking about Layla. Who is this person? Is she the big boss behind this? Suyu finally couldn't hold back his curiosity. After all, he had only seen Layla once before, and it was when he was unconscious and thought he was in a dream. Therefore, he didn't know that there was a woman who looked exactly like Huamin. They were so similar that it was strange. The less you know about her, the better. Why? Suyu was confused. For your own good. Suyu. The two men were both deeply in love with Huamian, so their relationship was a little weird. Although they weren't each other's husbands, they were always secretly competing with each other. Perhaps Suyu was too tired from the recent torture, or perhaps it was because the anesthetic Huamin gave him was still in effect. In short, he fell asleep after a short while, and he was in a deep sleep. Huasiqian sat in the car, but he wasn't sleepy at all. He didn't dare to sleep. He had to watch the surroundings. If Layla's men caught up, he could escape with Huamin. Huasiqian never told Huamin that Layla seemed to have a very powerful watch on her wrist. It could locate Huamin. Layla had sent Huasiqian to chase after them, because she had discovered that they had escaped. Layla hadn't moved yet, which meant that she was probably entangled with Lu Yen or Qin Chu. However, He didn't know how long she could last. Therefore, Hua Xiqian felt uneasy. Huamin wasn't sleepy at all in the room. The two men left the 2 blankets Ling brought for her. Huamin tossed and turned, unable to fall asleep. Finally she got up. She carried a blanket out and walked to the door of the car. Hua Xiqian was a little surprised. "Why are you out? It's cold outside. Go in. I'll give you 2 a blanket. Otherwise, it'll be hard for the rest of the night." Before Hua Xiqian, Huamin opened the car door and put the blanket in. Then he glanced at Suyu, who was sound asleep. "Is he asleep?" "Yes, he looks very tired. He hasn't been sleeping well recently. That psycho Zhao Qingya tortured Suyu for a long time," Huamin said with heartache. "It's good enough that he's alive. I've been with Layla for so long, but I've never seen anyone captured by her survive. By the way, Zheng Ro is dead." "What?" Huamin was shocked. "Was Zheng Ro really captured by you?" Huamin remembered that Zheng Ro had disappeared for so long that even Secretary Zheng couldn't do anything about it. He and President Wu had taken the blame and been fired for no reason. It turned out that it was really this group of people who did it. Hua Xiqian nodded. "Yeah, don't underestimate Zheng Ro. She has a deep background." Layla said that she wanted to use Zheng Ro as a bait to lure out the big tiger above her. And then, Huamin was curious. But Zheng Ro wouldn't say anything. Her boss seems to have a sensitive identity. If I'm not wrong, he's a big figure in Jing City. It's so complicated. Huamin frowned. Layla must have thought of this and captured Zheng Ro. But Zheng Ro wouldn't say anything. In the end, Layla lost her patience and tortured her to death. Zheng Ro's death was tragic. But Hua Xiqian was afraid that Huamin wouldn't be able to bear it, so he downplayed it. "Hua Xiqian, is there a bigger boss behind Layla?" Huamin suddenly asked. Chapter 4061. Why do you ask that? Hua Xiqian smiled and looked at Huamin gently. "Because when I heard you all call her young mistress, I felt that she was at most the second leader. There should be someone more powerful above her." "Yeah, I have the same idea as you. Unfortunately, Layla never mentioned it, and I really don't know anything about it." "What about Jack? Does Jack know?" Huamin suddenly had a thought. "I can't pry into Jack's memories, but he knows my memories. This is the most magical and unfair part of us. So, if you want to know, you have to ask Jack yourself. But that guy is full of lies, so I suggest you don't meet him." Huamian smiled as well. "Maybe I've really become dumb after getting pregnant. I didn't even realize you were Hua Xiqian in the bamboo house. I was wondering why Jack was suddenly so nice to me. I thought he was being nice to me because of his conscience." Yes, when Huamin was in the bamboo building, her mind was filled with thoughts of how to escape or protect Suyu. She ignored the smallest details. Otherwise, she would have seen through it long ago. Hua Xiqian pretended to be Jack, so much so that even Layla couldn't tell. Only Huamin could tell because Jack looked at Huamin with deep hatred, wanting to tear her apart. However, Hua Xiqian always looked at Huamin with a gentle gaze. Even though he tried his best to pretend to be Jack, that gentle gaze couldn't be changed. "After you got pregnant, you did become stupid and ugly." Huamin. Hua Xiqian looked at Huamin's embarrassed expression and burst into laughter. He almost woke up Suyu, who was beside him. Fortunately, Suyu was in a deep sleep. He only turned over and continued to sleep. "Mion, I haven't talked to you like this in a long time. I really want to go back to the old days." Hua Xiqian sighed. He suddenly missed the days when he worked at the Hua Corporation. Occasionally, she would flirt with Huamin when she saw him. She would even give him some face masks to please him. She would even personally choose a present for his birthday. But later on, because of his crazy plan, that situation was completely overturned. Hua Xiqian should have been the person that Huamin hated the most in her life, but she didn't hate him. Or rather, she didn't hate him that much. This was also the most complicated and delicate relationship between the two of them. "I can't go back. Many things can't go back once they change." Huamin sighed slightly. She also wanted to go back to the past, but she knew that everything could not go back. "I heard. Hua Yingyan is dead," Hua Xiqian said casually. It was obvious that he had no feelings for Hua Yingyan, a family member who grew up with him. It was as if he was talking about an outsider. Yeah, she's dead. This time she's really dead. Huomin nodded. Success and failure are all caused by the same person. Haha, back then, Hua Yanyan used Shinmingxi's love to do so many stupid things. In the end, she died at Shinmingxi's hands. TSK. How ironic. I'm afraid she didn't even know what was going on until she died. Hua Xiqian seemed to know a lot about this matter. You can't say that she died at Shinmingxi's hands. He didn't do it himself. He just used someone else to do it, Huomin explained calmly. Isn't it the same? What about the child she left behind after she died? Hua Xiqian asked. You mean Tiantian? Chapter 4062. Yeah, the kid Hua Yanyan left behind. He's still with Shinmingxi, but he was sent to another city to study. Shinmingxi and Wei Ying got back together. Shinmingxi will cry in the future if he doesn't get rid of the root of the problem. Hua Xiqian smiled wickedly. You don't like the kid either? Huomin knew Hua Xiqian's words were crude, but they made sense. You know the kid's temperament better than anyone else. She's old when she's 3. Just wait and see. When she grows up, she'll be a bitch even worse than her mother. That's not for us to worry about. When she grows up, we'll all be old. Huomin smiled. When she smiled, there was a smile in her eyes, which made Hua Xiqian's heart skip a beat. He reached out his hand to touch Huomian's face, but Huomian instinctively took a step back to avoid him. Mian, why don't you run away with me? I'll take care of your son for Qin Chu. I'll treat you and your son well for the rest of your life. Hua Xiqian didn't sound like he was joking. Thank you for your kindness, but I don't want to be imprisoned on a deserted island by you anymore. Huomin answered his question in a joking tone, so it wouldn't be so awkward. We won't go to a deserted island anymore. We'll go wherever you want us to go. Switzerland, Finland, Denmark, Norway. We'll go to a place where no one knows us. But I have nothing now. I don't have money or power. All I have left is my undying loyalty to you. Hua Xiqian smiled self-deprecatingly. You can't run out of money. I care about money the most. My son and I must live a good life. So don't run away with us. It's too tiring. It'll be better if we don't starve. Huomin also smiled. If only this child was mine. Hua Xiqian glanced at Huomin's stomach and suddenly asked. Hua Xiqian was particularly talkative tonight. In fact, the conversation between the two of them tonight was a kind of harmony and calmness that had never happened in the past 20 years. At first, Huomin didn't know what he meant. He thought that he was just old and had become long-winded after experiencing so many things. Later on, she realized that it was the last time in her life. Her conversation with Hua Xiqian was truly the last time, because after that night, she would never have such a chance again. Never again. The moon tonight is so round. Huomin looked up at the sky awkwardly, because she didn't want to continue the conversation with Hua Xiqian. It was too awkward. Seeing her evasive attitude, Hua Xiqian chuckled softly. Then, he jumped out of the car in a clean and efficient manner. Without any warning, he squatted down and tied Huomin's shoelaces for her. Huomin didn't move. His body was a little stiff. You're going to be a mother again, but you're still so careless. Southside has always said that you're a serious, responsible, and meticulous doctor. I strongly doubt that. After tying the shoelaces, Hua Xiqian stood up and laughed at Huomin. Thank you. No matter what, Hua Xiqian meant well, so Huomin didn't say anything hurtful. The night was unusually quiet. In this remote mountain village, Hua Xiqian and Huomin reminisced a lot about the past under the starry sky. Huomin completely forgot that he was being hunted down. In Sea City, after Su Yu's accident, Lady Su didn't go to work. She stayed at home and washed her face with tears. When Han Yueao came to visit, the maid took her directly to the bedroom. She saw the haggard Lady Su. Auntie, Han Yueao said sadly. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, for being a part of this adventure.